Chapter 202. The baby purple lightning was not timid, but the stone man was too strong. If Jun Changshao did not chase after it, it would not have rushed into the other party's territory. It gradually calmed down and found that the big guy was already dead, so it swaggered out from behind its master. Swish! Jun Changshao jumped up and sat on the tiger's back. He touched the baby tiger's head and smiled, "From today onwards, you are my personal mount." Seeing the tiger's docile face, it meant that the sect leader had already tamed it. The iron-bone disciples were shocked and envious. In the falling star continent, to have a contract beast was the dream of a martial cultivator. Having a rare thunder beast was even more unimaginable. Sect leader. He was really awesome. Wow! Ling Yuanxue said in admiration, "Sect leader is so mighty." Sure enough, the cool-looking purple lightning tiger attracted the attention of girls. However, Lu Qianqian was an exception. She only took a glance and turned around to continue to comprehend the 9-layer ice seal palm. Sect leader. Su Xiaoma leaned over and grinned, "Can I touch it?" While speaking, his hand had already reached over, but before he touched the tiger's fur, he heard a zzz sound. Plop. Su Xiaoma fell to the ground, his fur stood up from the electricity, twitching and spitting out white foam. As the master, Jun Changshao could ignore the thunder and lightning of the purple lightning tiger, so outsiders definitely could not touch it casually. Li Fei and Tian Qi, who walked over, hurriedly dispelled the idea of touching it. Oh my god! Senior brother Su was electrocuted too miserably. Yi Xingqian secretly muttered in the distance, why did he sign a contract with a purple lightning tiger so quickly? Night Emperor also had a contract beast in his previous life. It was a bird-type sacred beast called Blue Sky Jade Carving. Later on, it died, and the connection was cut off. That year, in order to tame that guy, Yi Xingqian fought with it for 3 days and 3 nights in the Green Plains Hill before defeating it. It took him 49 days to force a contract with it. Yes. At that time, Night Emperor had just entered Wusheng. Later on, the Clear Sky Jade Carving became his personal mount. As long as martial cultivators saw the Clear Sky Jade Carving, they would immediately realize that one of the 10 great martial emperors of the Starfall continent had arrived. AI. Thinking of his contracted beast, Yi Xingqian sighed and looked up at the sky. Old friend, are you alright? The proud and aloof Night Emperor did not have many friends in his previous life. He only had the Blue Sky Jade Carving by his side, which had witnessed his breakthrough from Wusheng to Martial Emperor. After his rebirth, if he still had any attachment to his previous life, it would be the contract beast that had accompanied him for 1,000 years. My soul hasn't been destroyed. The contract imprint is still here. Yi Xingqian thought to himself, as long as my realm is strong enough, I will definitely be able to communicate with the Green Sky Jade Carving. But there was a prerequisite, the contract beast had to be alive. Alive. He must still be alive. How could Yi Xingqian's contracted beast die so easily? Night fell and the bonfire rose. In just a few days, Li Qingyang had learned the true teachings of the sect leader. At this moment, he was skillfully roasting meat. Jun Changshao sat cross-legged under the tree, circulating the body metamorphose scripture, continuously absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy. After his spiritual root was upgraded to the highest grade, the absorption speed was 5 to 6 times faster than usual. He could not help but exclaim, doesn't this mean that as long as I cultivate, I will be eating qi-gathering pills with 5 times the effect? No wonder martial cultivators with high spiritual roots were fought over by various sects. Ding! Side mission completed. Host has received 500 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 1400100. Ding! Sect contribution points overflow, omitted here. Ding! Host has completed the time limit mission. Reward, 1 bottle of the highest grade aptitude modification liquid. 5 hours were up. The time limit mission was completed. Jun Changshao grinned and said, "Another bottle of the highest grade aptitude modification liquid. Very good, very good." Schwa. Pulling open the purchased items column, he planned to buy 2 more bottles of aptitude modification liquid. But after buying 1 bottle, the highest grade aptitude modification liquid was gray, and it showed this item is limited to 3 bottles per year. Fuck. Why is the aptitude modification liquid limited? The system said, the high-grade aptitude modification liquid is too heaven-defying. In order to prevent the host from creating too many top-grade disciples and destroying the balance of the falling star continent, it has to be limited. Fuck. Jun Changshao said, "Didn't you give me a system to destroy the balance of the other world?" The gathering and absorption of spiritual energy is a virtuous cycle. If there are too many top-grade spiritual roots, it will speed up the plundering of resources. Once there is a shortage of resources, there will definitely be a big mess. The system said. Jun Changshao was silent. He had planned to buy another bottle, but now that there was a limit, he could only give up. Then, who should he give the reward and the 2 bottles of aptitude modification liquid to? Jun Changshao first considered the inner sect disciples, but he also had to choose 2 from Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, Tian Qi, and Yi Xingqian. He would give it to Su Xiaoma and Yi Xingqian first. After thinking for a while, he made a decision in his heart. Su Xiaoma's strength was not bad, and his speed was also outstanding. He was suitable to be nurtured first. Although Yi Xingqian entered the sect later than Li Fei and Tian Qi, he had fully proved himself with his strength in the Death Valley. Especially when Xiao Ziji was attacked by the fire dragon, he rushed over to save him without caring about his own injuries. This alone was enough to give him a reason. Look. Night Emperor knew that Jun Changshao had goods. So whether it was going to the Haoqi sect or training in the wild, he was very active. Opportunities were not to be waited, but to be fought for. Come, come. Jun Changshao called the 2 of them over and threw the aptitude modification liquid to them. "Thank you, sect leader," Su Xiaoma said excitedly. Yi Xingqian was much calmer, but when he came to a deserted place alone, he hurriedly opened it and drank it. Without a doubt. After the 2 of them drank the aptitude modification liquid, their spirit root aptitude went from high grade to top grade, and their realms also increased by 1 level. This is unbelievable. Although he had drunk it many times, every time he felt his aptitude increase, Yi Xingqian's eyes were still filled with shock. Don't think that Night Emperor's state of mind was bad, because if it were other martial emperors, they would definitely be shocked to know that there was a liquid that could instantly increase the level of their spirit root. Schwa. On the ground, a sharpened branch spun and stopped, pointing at the word, refresh, written on it. Sigh. Jun Changshao said helplessly, "This is destined for me to refresh the store." System, this guy drew a circle on the ground. 9 out of 10 areas had the word, refresh, written on it, and the remaining 10% had the word, purchase, written on it. If you want to refresh the store, can't you be more direct? I can't be greedy, let's just spend 100 points. Jun Changshao thought as he started to scroll down the store, and then he paid a painful price for his addiction. Because he used 500 points consecutively, there was nothing good at all, only daily necessities. 500 points. 10 bottles of aptitude modification liquid gone. Jun Changxiao's heart was bleeding, and he roared, "Why didn't you stop me?" System, ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, extravagant spending. You have received 100 achievement points and the title, Little Spending Prince. Ding. Contribution points, 7001000. Ding. Detected title, automatically matching the host, please check the data panel for details. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. So, by spending a large amount of contribution points, he could still complete the hidden mission. But what the hell is a title? Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the data panel and saw that Sect leader, Jun Changshao, had an additional little spending prince suffix behind it. He tapped on the name, and a small attribute board appeared, with the words host, Jun Changshao luck value, 1 title, little spending prince title attribute, luck value +1. The system said, the Sect system has been upgraded to level 3, and the host's luck value check function has been activated. The higher the luck value, the more good items will appear after refreshing the store. Crap. Jun Changshao said frantically, without the 1 point from the title, my luck value is 0 points, right? So, the system said, with 0 points of luck value, you can get a sniper rifle and a green dragon crescent blade. The host must have saved the Milky Way in his previous life. Chapter 203. Spending 500 contribution points, he didn't buy a single item related to martial arts, but he completed a hidden mission and obtained a title. This wave was not a loss, definitely not a loss. Looking at his luck value again, Jun Changshao was about to go crazy. Under normal circumstances, this kind of index would be capped at 100. He only had 1 point, which was absolutely miserable. The system said, the limit might be 1,000, maybe 10,000. Can you scram? Jun Changshao said. After completing the psychological blow to the host, the system was very comfortable and no longer spoke. Sigh. Jun Changshao sighed. However, when he thought about how he was able to obtain a sniper rifle and a green dragon crescent blade with 0 points of luck value, he was still quite lucky. This world is very beautiful, I can't give up on myself. Mentality is the most important. After comforting himself, he relaxed and lay down in the tent to have a good sleep. The next day. After calculating the time and arriving at Death Valley for 9 days, Jun Changshao said, let's return to the Sect. If it wasn't for the fact that he still had a mid-grade gate master ball, he would have returned yesterday. After all, there was no point in staying here. The disciples kept their tents and began to retreat to the entrance. During this period of time, most of the gourd openings had been cleaned by the iron bone, so it was particularly safe to return. To be exact. After their ruckus, Death Valley was no longer that scary. It was very difficult for rogue cultivators and various forces to kill any valuable ferocious beasts when they came to train and explore. At the entrance of Death Valley, the square-faced middle-aged man and a few rogue cultivators gathered together. When they were picking up scraps in the scorching land, Jun Changshao left with his disciples first, so they temporarily lost contact with him. Without the iron bone, the rogue cultivators didn't dare to go anywhere else. After thinking about it, they returned to the entrance to wait. Brother Hui. A martial cultivator said, we've been waiting for an entire day, Sect leader Jun and the others might have already left. Sigh. The middle-aged man called Song Hui sighed and said, let's go out. He wanted to thank Sect leader Jun before leaving, but now that he couldn't see him, he could only give up. A few rogue cultivators walked towards the entrance of the tunnel and quickly left Death Valley. Who? Standing outside, Song Hui and the others took a deep breath. Coming in with iron bone was a gamble, and he also had the thought of going all out. But who would have thought that he would be able to come out unscathed? Song Hui and the others are out. TSK. I didn't expect them to still be alive. Where is the iron bone? Needless to say, it must have been destroyed by the fire dragon beast. The rogue cultivators who had fled before the battle did not leave. They had been waiting outside the valley. After all, they wanted to see the final outcome. Based on the current situation, it was certain that Iron Bone had been wiped out. When Song Hui heard their discussion, he instantly understood that Sect leader Jun didn't bring any disciples out of the valley. Brother Song. A rogue cultivator walked over and said with a smile, Iron Bone insisted on seeking death, yet you were able to persevere until the end. It's not easy to come out alive. Song Hui smiled and said, old brother Zhang didn't make it to the end. He really suffered a great loss. The armament practitioner named Zhang Bin asked, "What do you mean?" Song Hui smiled and said, "Sect leader Jun and his disciples destroyed the fire dragon beast. We also benefited a lot from it." Zhang Bin was startled. Then, he smiled and said, "Destroyed the fire dragon beast? Brother Song, don't joke around." The rogue cultivators behind him laughed as well. Without a high-level wuzong, it was impossible to destroy a 5th-grade fire beast. Song Hui didn't explain anymore. He knew that if he didn't see it with his own eyes, he would definitely doubt it. The only way to convince everyone now was to wait for sect leader Jun to come out. After knowing that Iron Bone hadn't left, Song Hui and the rogue cultivators chose to wait. They were secretly looking forward to seeing the expressions on Zhang Bin and the others' faces when they saw them. Of course, there were many rogue cultivators who didn't follow them in. They were still recruiting members. After a certain number of people had gathered, they would enter Death Valley to train. Zhang Bin smiled and said, "Brother Song, why aren't you leaving?" "Waiting for Iron Bone to come out," Song Hui said. Zhang Bin shook his head and said, "If they could come out, why would they be behind you? In my opinion, they would have died in the fire dragon beast's territory." Roar! Right at this moment, a roar came from within Death Valley, causing everyone's expression to change drastically. It's a tiger's roar. It seems to be coming from the entrance of the tunnel. Could it be that a powerful tiger beast is coming out of Death Valley? Swoosh! A purple ray of light rushed out from the valley. Roar! The purple lightning baby beast who had stabilized its body raised its head and roared. Purple lightning flashed and it was really majestic. After seeing the shape and lightning clearly, the rogue cultivators all widened their eyes. They weren't surprised by the tiger beast. They were surprised by the person sitting on the tiger's back. This person was none other than Iron Bone's sect leader, Jun Changshao. In an instant, the outside of the valley became extremely quiet. The dozens of rogue cultivators who had gathered here all widened their eyes. Their eyes were filled with intense shock. They would also be very surprised if Jun Changshao came out by himself. After all, in their hearts, Iron Bone had been destroyed. Now, not only did he come out, but he also rode a majestic tiger beast. The shock and impact it brought was naturally indescribable. Song Hui and the others were also dumbfounded. They couldn't understand. Why would sect leader Jun come out riding a tiger beast? Could it be that he had just captured a contract beast? Zhang Bin and the others were also thinking. The more they thought, the more shocked they were. In this day and age, it was definitely a glorious thing to have a contract beast. A rogue cultivator who knew a little about ferocious beasts said in a trembling voice, This is a lightning baby tiger." What? Everyone was so shocked that their faces were distorted. Lightning ferocious beasts were very rare in the Falling Star continent. They had a bad temper. Sect leader Jun was able to tame one. This was simply terrifying. Jun Changshao looked at Song Hui and asked in surprise, "You guys came out too?" Riding a lightning baby tiger and greeting others, this was a perfect act of toughness. It was a pity that the system didn't have any acting tough points. Otherwise, it would have been plus 99,999. Song Hui came back to his senses and hurriedly said, "We are really grateful to sect leader Jun for bringing us to Death Valley to pick up scraps." Jun Changshao said, "You paid to pick up scraps. This is a business deal. There's no need to thank me. Not like some people." After a pause, he glanced at the rogue cultivators who didn't follow in and mocked, "They don't even have the guts to pick up scraps. They are destined to be mediocre for the rest of their lives." There was nothing wrong with seeking stability. But in the world of martial arts, if one wanted to become stronger, they had to understand the principle of seeking wealth in danger. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to achieve much in the future. After subduing the lightning baby tiger, Jun Changshao wanted to ride it out and show off. Coming out of Death Valley first, the dozens of rogue cultivators were shocked to the point of being unable to recover. It could be said that his wish was fulfilled. If one didn't show off in life, what fun would there be? Not long after, Li Qingyang and the others walked out of the valley. Seeing that 25 disciples of the Iron Bones sect went in and came out, the rogue cultivators' expressions stiffened again. Seeing the interesting expressions on Zhang Bin and the others' faces, Song Hui and the others were secretly pleased. Didn't they think that the Iron Bones sect was completely wiped out? Everyone. Was their face swollen? Chapter 204. The rogue cultivators outside the valley all believed that the Iron Bones sect had been annihilated by the fire dragon. In the end, they all came out together. This slap in the face was really satisfying. Sect leader Jun also knew that many of them were laughing at him. Although he was showing off by riding the juvenile purple lightning beast, it was more of a slap to their faces. After some reorganization, Jun Changshao said loudly, "Let's go back." Yes. All the disciples shouted in unison. As the facial muscles of the rogue cultivators froze, sect leader Jun rode the tiger beast and left with his disciples. This trip was very rewarding. His mood was naturally very good. He was also very happy. Sect leader Jun, behind him, Song Hui chased after him with a few people. Jun Changshao said, "What's the matter?" Song Hui cupped his hands and said, "Sect leader Jun, we want to join the Iron Bone sect. Can you take us in?" After witnessing the strength of the Iron Bone sect, smart people knew that this sect had huge potential. If they could join early, it would definitely be a wise choice. Jun Changshao said, "It's not impossible to join my Iron Bone sect." Everyone was delighted. However, Jun Changshao added, "Give me the things you picked up. It'll be considered an entry fee." Ah! Everyone was dumbfounded. They spent 2,000 to pick up the leftovers. If they taught him everything, wouldn't it be a waste of effort? Sect leader Jun, your request is too harsh, a martial cultivator said. Goodbye. Some cultivators cupped their hands and left. After a short while, only Song Hui and 2 other martial artists were left among the 8 rogue cultivators. Without a family or sect to rely on, money was even more important than life for many cultivators. Sect leader Jun, Song Hui said with a determined gaze, "I'll pay." As he spoke, he handed over 2 interspatial rings. He also cared about money. After all, he could use it to buy resources. However, after careful consideration, he still believed that the Iron Bones sect was a more valuable resource. Following them into Death Valley was a gamble. Giving up all their money to join the Iron Bones sect was also a gamble. "We'll pay too." The other 2 also agreed and handed over their rings. Jun Changshao said, "Let's go. We'll follow them back to Iron Bone to complete the entry procedures." When he went to kill the fire dragon beast, Song Hui and the other 2 had expressed their willingness to help. It was obvious that they were people who knew how to repay kindness. Now that they were willing to pay, it meant that they really approved of Iron Bone. Naturally, he wouldn't refuse. After all, he was still short of 500 slots. As for those rogue cultivators who were unwilling to pay and left, even if they knelt and begged, they would not be recruited. They didn't walk for long. Jun Changshao stopped in front of a small stream and let the disciples rest. Death Valley was filled with ferocious beasts, and the stench was overwhelming. Now that they were out, they had to clean up. Because Lu Qianqian and Ling Yuanxue went to the other side, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others jumped into the stream without any scruples and directly washed. Jun Changshao also took a bath and changed into a clean sect master uniform. His entire person once again looked like a handsome tree in the wind. "Xiao Mo, Xiao Fei." He shouted, "Go find firewood and prepare to barbecue." Coming out of Death Valley and making a lot of money, they had to celebrate. Yes. After changing into a clean uniform, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei searched in the forest. Although they hadn't gone through the entry procedures, Song Hui and the other two martial artists began to try to integrate into the sect and help out. They even acted as barbecue masters. As the three of them had survived in the wild all year round, they definitely had some skills in barbecuing. Whoosh! The flames rose and the barbecued meat was flipped. Swish! Swish! However, just as everyone was eating in full swing, a group of people suddenly surrounded the forest. They were wearing black clothes with the word eagle printed on their chests. The leader was a tall middle-aged man. His eyes were shining, and his strength was not to be underestimated. Seeing the word eagle on the man's chest, Song Hui's face changed. He hurried over and whispered, "Sect leader, they are from Black Eagle Hall." Black Eagle Hall? Li Qingyang's face also changed. Jun Changshao saw this and asked, "Are they very powerful?" Li Qingyang said seriously, "Sect leader, this Black Eagle Hall is a seventh-rate evil sect in the neighboring Huayin County." Evil sect? Jun Changshao was surprised. After transmigrating, he more or less understood the Falling Star continent and knew that the sects were divided into good and evil. For example, the Grand Qi sect and the Long Blade sect were considered to be good sections. Evil sects were rarer, and their style of doing things was also very cruel. Qingyang County had the 100 Sect Alliance, so there were no evil sections. However, everyone seemed to be good on the surface, but the things they did in the dark might not be as good as the evil sections. Huayin County was different. There were no alliance organizations here, and the government was just a decoration. The sects developed wildly, and there were many forces that called themselves evil sections. Simply put, in Huayin County, evil sects were legalized. The forces that were called evil sects were more aggressive and warlike. Reason? That didn't exist. If there was a disagreement, they would draw their swords and even kill their whole family. TSK. Jun Changshao thought, "I didn't expect to meet an evil sect in this wilderness." "Kid." The tall middle-aged man said coldly, "You are Iron Bone's sect leader?" "That's right." Jun Changshao took a bite of meat and said, "What can I do for you?" If the evil sects in the neighboring counties heard of his sect, he would feel proud. "I heard that you just came out from Death Valley." The middle-aged man's voice was cold, which was in line with the style of an evil sect. If the words evil sect were carved on his forehead, it would be perfect. "That's right." Jun Changshao said. It's over. Song Hui's heart collapsed. Black Eagle Hall, as an evil sect, was very close to Death Valley in Qingyang County. They would come here to train every once in a while. Their favorite thing to do was to rob others. Today, they caught up from behind, so they must have gone to Death Valley and heard from other rogue cultivators that Iron Bone had entered the valley. His guess was right. This Black Eagle Hall's Vice Hall Master brought his disciples to Death Valley not long ago to train. The first thing he did was to control the rogue cultivators and threaten them to hand over their belongings. Some people were afraid of death. Not only did they hand over their belongings, they also revealed the matter of Iron Bone. Since a sect entered and left the valley, it must be very rich. Therefore, the Vice Hall Master immediately brought his disciples and chased after them. Finally, they surrounded the Iron Bone sect in this forest. This was an evil sect. They did things no different from robbers. If it was a righteous sect, even if they wanted to rob, they would not do it so unscrupulously. "Sect leader Jun, right?" The Vice Hall Master said indifferently, "Since you entered Death Valley, you must have obtained a lot of crystal cores and bones. Why don't you take them out and share with my Black Eagle Hall?" Jun Changshao almost spat out the meat in his mouth. He grinned and said, "My Iron Bone risked his life to obtain these things. Why should I share them with you? This is the rule of my Black Eagle Hall." The Vice Hall Master said coldly. "Sorry." Jun Changshao said, "That's your Black Eagle Hall's rule." My Iron Bones rule is that we can't share things with idiots because we will be infected. Brat. The Vice Hall Master said with a fierce look, you are courting death. Chapter 205. When the Vice Hall Master said that they were courting death, dozens of Black Eagle Hall disciples immediately surrounded them. Most of them were at the martial disciple level. Looking at Li Qingyang and the others who were only 17 or 18 years old, they all had looks of contempt on their faces. A group of children who hadn't even grown out their hair could be easily killed. Li Qingyang and the others placed the barbecued meat on the ground, chewed and swallowed the meat in their mouths, and then shook their heads and shoulders. After the training in Death Valley, they were not afraid of fighting at all. Not to mention, although there were more than 60 Black Eagle Hall disciples, from their auras, their average cultivation was only second or third stage, which was not as strong as the Red Flame Wolves. The Vice Hall Master said indifferently, Sect Leader June, these should be the remaining 20 or so disciples of your sect, right? Only left? June Changshao did not understand. What do you mean? The Vice Hall Master laughed coldly. What I mean is that after going to Death Valley, many disciples will die. If the rest die, your Iron Bones sect will be annihilated. June Changshao understood. He must have thought that he had brought many disciples to Death Valley to train, and the remaining disciples were the survivors. That's right. That was what he thought. At that time, the Vice Hall Master was in a hurry to rob them. He only asked about the sect's rank and did not ask about the number of people who entered Death Valley. An 8th-rate sect entering Death Valley would have to bring at least 100 disciples and fight with the beasts with their lives. Take him for example. This time, he had brought more than 60 martial disciples. He had already thought about it on the way. It would be very lucky if half of them could come out alive. Yes. Iron Bone brought 100 people, and 20 to 30 of them came out alive. Their luck was not bad. The Vice Hall Master of Black Eagle Hall's imagination was even stronger than Night Emperor's. This was good too. If he knew that all 25 of Iron Bone's disciples went in and came out alive, he would definitely suffer a heavy blow. What? June Changshao touched his nose and said, from what you said, you want to kill all of my disciples. The Vice Hall Master laughed sinisterly. If Sect Leader June cooperates and hands over the things in the valley, they will definitely return home safely. Are you threatening me? June Changxiao's face darkened. The Vice Hall Master said, you can say that. The biggest advantage of the evil sect was that they didn't beat around the bush when doing bad things, nor were they hypocritical. They just did it openly and openly. Did you hear that? June Changshao said, Black Eagle Hall wants to kill you. Ha ha ha. Su Xiaoma clutched his stomach and laughed, Sect Master, these guys aren't even comparable to the beasts of Death Valley, what ability do they have to kill us? That's right, that's right. Li Fei smiled and said, you're not even comparable to a ferocious beast. You think too highly of yourself. The Vice Hall Master's face gradually turned gloomy, and the murderous intent in his eyes became even more intense. Hall Master he. A disciple of the Black Eagle Hall said coldly, this Iron Bone disciple is very arrogant. Why don't we just kill them all? Hall Master he said indifferently, Sect Master June, since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, don't blame this Hall Master for being impolite. Kacha, kacha. The disciples of the Black Eagle Hall clenched their fists and walked over with their heads tilted. They even took out the weapons in their space rings. Perhaps because they had killed too many people, the aura they emitted was a little scary. Sect Master June, Hall Master he narrowed his eyes and smiled. If you hand over the thing now, this Hall Master can spare your life and the lives of your disciples. I don't have the thing, but I do have a life, June Changshao said. Hall Master he raised his hand and said with a cold gaze, kill them all. Puchi, sword light flashed and blood splattered. Hall Master he was stunned. The men I brought with me are quite fast. However, when he looked over, he found that one of his disciples was standing in place with his eyes unfocused, and his neck had been cut by a sharp sword. The one who attacked was Yixingchen. He withdrew his sword and blew off the drops of blood that had gathered at the tip of the sword, saying indifferently, "Trash. Junior brother. Senior brother." Seeing his fellow disciple killed, the disciples of the Black Eagle Hall flew into a rage. They immediately poured spiritual energy into their weapons and slashed at the Iron Bone disciple without caring who the target was. Clang! Clang! Li Qingyang, Shao Ziji, and the others drew their swords and quickly fought back. Song Hui and the other two martial artists also drew their weapons. They were only a step away from becoming Iron Bone disciples. Naturally, they couldn't sit back and do nothing. In terms of numbers, the Black Eagle Hall definitely had the advantage. However, when the two sides fought, the strength of the Iron Bone disciples shocked them all. Puchi! Puchi! Sword light flashed and blood splattered. Hall Master He's eyes widened, and his eyeballs almost popped out. In just a few breaths, more than 20 of his 60 disciples were killed by Iron Bone. The process was nothing more than drawing the sword, killing, drawing the sword again, and killing again. How could an 8th-rate Sect be so strong? Was he seeing things? Hall Master He hurriedly blinked his eyes. However, during this gap, another dozen or so disciples were killed like weeds. The disciples were killing crazily at the back. Jun Changshao kept his back to them and didn't look. He knew that even if there were more than 60 Black Eagle Hall disciples, they wouldn't be enough to kill Li Qingyang and the rest. It was true. Compared to the Red Flame Wolf, no, they were even weaker than the Ground Flame Wolf. Damn it! Hall Master He's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He instantly unleashed his peak martial master cultivation and condensed an explosive force to attack Jun Changshao. Whoosh! This punch contained at least 60,000 force. However, just as the explosive fist was about to hit him, it was caught by Jun Changshao's palm. And he caught it so easily. Hall Master He was stunned. His punch landed on this guy's palm and it didn't even budge. Jun Changshao said, "Don't be anxious. Watch carefully." How could he not be anxious? If he continued to watch, the dozens of disciples he brought would be killed. Hall Master He tried to pull his hand back, but that guy's 5 fingers were like pliers. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free. Puchi! Puchi! The Black Eagle Hall disciples were still being slaughtered by Iron Bone. Especially Yixingchen. He killed one person in 10 steps and didn't leave a single trace. A group of Rank 2 and Rank 3 martial disciples dared to fight against a team that destroyed a pack of Red Flame Wolves and even a pack of Gale Wolves. They were really tired of living. Unfortunately, the Black Eagle Hall didn't know about Iron Bone's previous valiant battle record. When they realized that this group of immature teenagers was very terrifying, they were so scared that they hurriedly fled. Very wise. However, Jun Changshao said, "Kill them all." This tone was exactly the same as when the Hall Master had said, "Kill them all," just now. Swish! Swish! Li Qingyang and the rest quickly caught up. Han Feng's sword and Overlord Qi greeted them and more than 20 disciples who fled were obliterated. At this point, more than 60 Black Eagle Hall disciples were all killed. Only Hall Master He, who was restrained by Jun Changshao, was left. His eyes were filled with monstrous shock. He brought his disciples to Death Valley to train and hoped that half of them could come out alive. In the end, before they even entered the valley, they were all wiped out. Only now did Hall Master He realize that Iron Bone was not a kind person. He had kicked an iron plate. Hey! Jun Changshao smiled and said, "Your subordinates are all dead." The smile looked harmless, but in Hall Master He's eyes, it was extremely sinister, as if the devil was smiling at him. Sect. Sect leader Jun. He hurriedly said, "I think this is a misunderstanding. Swish. Jun Changshao raised the desert eagle and pressed it against his head. His eyes were cold as he said, "Remember, if you can still be human in your next life, wipe your eyes before you go out. Don't provoke my iron bone sect anymore." Bang! A bullet shot out and pierced through his head. Plop! The Black Eagle Hall Vice Hall Master fell straight down, his eyes gradually losing focus. Yes. He had kicked an iron plate. Not only was this iron plate hard, but his way of doing things was also very decisive. He could be compared to the evil sections. Chapter 206. Hall Master He of Black Eagle Hall chased after them with only one goal, to stop Iron Bone and force them to hand over the things they got from Death Valley. This kind of thing was very common and had been done more than once. No matter if it was a sect or an individual team, they had all been visited before. Of course, Black Eagle Hall didn't dare to provoke those who were tough. For example, when Alliance leader Qin brought his disciples to train, they pretended not to know even though they received the news. Picking the soft persimmon was the way to survive. Unfortunately, the Deputy Hall Master of Black Eagle Hall had picked the wrong persimmon this time and killed himself and his 60 disciples. If it was a self-proclaimed righteous faction, they might have been able to survive. But since they provoked Iron Bone, they could only go to hell to sing. Sect leader Jun wouldn't take the initiative to cause trouble. But if someone provoked him and wanted to kill him, he had to return the favor in the same way. He was that domineering and valiant. Search them. Jun Changshao waved his hand. Iron Bone disciples started to loot the bags and soon found 60 small interspatial rings. Any sect with a bit of money would have one of these interspatial rings. They could hold a limited amount of things. Iron Bone was a bit interesting. Sect leader Jun had never bought interspatial rings before. Most of the disciples who had interspatial rings got them from assassins. So, looting was still necessary. At least they could save some money. Sect leader Li Qingyang counted and said, "There are a total of 30,000 silver notes and some low-grade herbs." So poor. Jun Changshao said. If the dead hall master he heard these two words on his way to the Yellow Springs, he would definitely roar, "If I was fucking rich, would I still bring people to rob you?" Sect leader, what about these corpses? Pile them up and burn them. Yes. Whoosh whoosh. The fire burned and the corpses turned into ashes. Because many people died here, it was filled with the smell of blood. Jun Changshao wasn't in the mood to eat barbecue and left with his disciples. On the way, Song Hui and the other two martial artists were thinking. Was Iron Bone righteous or evil? Evil, right? They could tolerate rogue cultivators picking up scraps in Death Valley. Righteous, right? He didn't show any mercy when killing the Black Eagle Hall just now. Especially the sect leader, who raised the strange object and killed Hall Master He with a peng sound. He was absolutely decisive in killing, absolutely swift and decisive. The more the three of them thought about it, the more confused they became. However, regardless of whether Iron Bone was righteous or evil, he would definitely join. The next day, Jun Changshao sped up and brought everyone back to Iron Bone in the evening. As usual, as soon as he entered the sect, the disciples crowded around him, fighting to be the first to ask about his experience. Although they didn't follow him, their hearts followed him. After they finished cultivating, they would sit together and discuss how the sect leader and senior brothers fought against the ferocious beasts. The scene in his mind was even more exciting than the novel written by Jianghu Goodbye. Cough, cough. Su Xiaoma stood in the middle of the training field. He cleared his throat and spoke like a storyteller, "This is a long story. Listen to me slowly." The disciples listened attentively, their eyes flickering with excitement. Jun Changshao brought Song Hui and the other two to the main hall, where they filled in the entry form and stamped it. Ding! Sect member, 50310000. Ding! Sect contribution points, 7031000. The other two martial artists were called Yu Shao and Jin Lang. Like Song Hui, the two of them were in their early 30s, and they were both grade 1 martial masters. Jun Changshao sighed, without the resources provided by your families and forces, it's really commendable that you can break through to the martial master level. Song Hui said bitterly, Sect leader, we have today's achievements because we fought on the line between life and death. This sentence expressed the difficulties and sadness of a rogue cultivator. Jun Changshao said, so from today onwards, you only need to do your best for the sect and provide me with all the resources. Iron Bone was a young man with dreams in his heart. Although he was full of vitality, he lacked a sense of stability. It was necessary to recruit veterans who had experienced life and death situations. Rest assured, sect leader. The three of them said in unison, we will do our best for the sect. Even if we have to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of fire, we will not hesitate. Jun Changshao believed in this. Because following them into Death Valley was more like an entrance examination. The others left one after another. Since they were able to follow to the end and join him, there was no problem with their loyalty. This is a special pill of our sect. Take it. Jun Changshao threw 3 body-shaping pills over. Iron Bone did not have the foundation of a large sect, nor did it have a huge amount of martial arts resources. However, each disciple was given a body-shaping pill, which was a unique feature. Sect leader, this is. Song Hui said. Jun Changshao said, a type of pill that can strengthen one's physique. Eating it will only bring you benefits and no harm. Understood. Song Hui swallowed the pill. Yu Shao and Wan Lang also threw the pills into their mouths. At this time, even if the sect leader gave them a poisonous pill, they would not have any thoughts about it. The pill melted as soon as it entered their mouths, forming pure energy that nourished their meridians and muscles, causing their spirits to rise. After a while, the energy was exhausted. Their muscles, meridians, blood, and strength had all improved greatly. Their eyes flashed with intense shock. Oh my God, Song Hui could not help but exclaim, my strength seems to have increased a lot. A lot. It increased by about 10,000 pounds. The same went for Yu Shao and Jin Lang. The three of them had average aptitudes and did not have any natural treasures to nurture them. After becoming a grade 1 martial master, one's strength would be about 25,000 pounds, which was only the lowest value. After taking the body-shaping pill, one's physical strength would improve and instantly reach 35,000 pounds, which was already considered average. Excellent martial masters could reach 45,000 pounds at grade 1. Top geniuses could reach 55,000 pounds. Oh my God! Did we just eat an elixir? While Song Hui and the others were dumbfounded, Jun Changshao handed out the self-chop and exploding fist manuals. He said, Qing Yang, arrange rooms for them and give them school uniforms and sect rules. Yes. Li Qingyang brought them to the inner courtyard and arranged rooms for them. The three of them entered the high-end and classy room, and their eyes could not hide their shock. The outer courtyard's buildings and main hall were already shocking enough, but the inner courtyard was even more luxurious. If this was a sixth-rate sect, the three of them would not have any doubts. Brother Hui. The three of them sat in the room. Yu Shao said excitedly, this iron bone is really amazing. Jin Lang said in shock, taking a pill can increase one's strength by so much. This is simply unimaginable. Song Hui said excitedly, joining Iron Bone is definitely the wisest choice in our lives. This thought became even more firm after he flipped through self-chop and rupturing fist. This was because spiritual force-type martial skills were priceless treasures. The spatial ring given to the sect leader was worth tens of thousands. Sorry, they did not care at all. If they were given another choice, they would not hesitate to hand over hundreds of thousands just to join Iron Bone. The rogue cultivators who left because they were worried about money were simply too stupid. Chapter 207. Inside the main hall. Jun Changshao took a sip of tea and slowly said, "Is there anything going on in the sect recently?" "Everything is normal," Li Luoqiu said with a smile. During this period of time, she has been managing the sect. Even though she was an assassin, her management was quite impressive. Jun Changshao put down the teacup and said, "What's the news outside?" Li Luoqiu said, "Qin Haoren has returned." "What about the Shao family?" Jun Changshao didn't care about the Grand Qi sect, he was more concerned about the Shao family's movements. Li Luoqiu said, "The Shao family has been keeping a low profile during this period of time. I'm afraid they are busy dealing with their family business." Jun Changshao rubbed his fingers and said, "They have cut off business with the AI family and the mine has collapsed. It's enough for them to suffer." "Is there any other news?" "Yes." Li Luoqiu said, "The AI family will hold an auction in half a month. Many forces from different counties will come to Huyang City. The scale of the auction will be bigger than before. I hope this auction can get a good price." Jun Changshao murmured. Cooperating with the AI family to auction pills is his main source of income. Naturally, he hopes the higher the price, the better. "Oh right." Li Luoqiu took out an invitation and said, "The AI family's head personally sent an invitation a few days ago, sincerely inviting the sect leader to attend the auction." "Attend for what?" "To bid for pills with them." Jun Changshao took the invitation and shook his head with a smile. Li Luoqiu said, "In my opinion, the AI family's head wants the sect leader to join in the fun. I heard that there are several higher-ups from fifth-rate sects coming." "Is that so?" Jun Changshao said while opening the invitation. There was an invitation and a platinum card inside. Li Luoqiu said in surprise, "The highest platinum VIP card in the AI family's auction house." "Platinum VIP card?" Jun Changshao asked. Li Luoqiu explained, "The AI family issues cards that represent 3 different identities. The ordinary one is a bronze card, the next is a gold card, and the highest is a platinum card. Wasn't it just like being a bank's VIP customer?" Speaking of which, had the AI family played LOL or King of Glory before? The 3 cards were similar to the ranking system. Jun Changshao casually threw the platinum card on the table and said without interest, "I'm very busy. Why would I attend an auction?" Li Luoqiu, this kind of platinum card was very rare. Only big shots with a reputation could obtain it. Yet, the sect leader had casually discarded it. "Pay more attention to the Shao clan. Report back immediately if there's any movement," Jun Changshao said. "Yes." After discussing business, Li Luoqiu pressed her arms on the table and used her palm to support her sharp chin. She smiled and said, "Sect leader, tell me about your training in Death Valley." Jun Changshao said, "I only killed a fire dragon. There's nothing much to talk about." Li Luoqiu said in surprise, "A fire dragon that was 5 ranks higher?" "Yes." Jun Changshao said, "You've heard of it too. One of the 2 overlords of Death Valley is the fire dragon." Li Luoqiu said. 2 overlords? Jun Changshao said, "What's the other one?" Li Luoqiu thought for a while and said, "The other one is a rare stone-type stone man." "Stone man?" Jun Changshao said, "Is it a huge monster that's made of stone and is at least 7 to 8 feet tall?" "That's right." Li Luoqiu said. Jun Changshao murmured, "So, the big monster I killed was a stone man, one of the 2 overlords of Death Valley." Li Luoqiu said in disbelief, "Sect leader also killed the stone man?" Jun Changshao said, "When I was capturing the purple lightning cub, I accidentally entered its territory and was trapped inside. I could only kill it." He said it casually, but Li Luoqiu was full of doubts. "The stone man is much stronger than the fire dragon. With sect leader's cultivation, can you kill this kind of stone-type beast?" Swoosh! Jun Changshao waved his hand and took out a crystal core. "This is the stone man's crystal core." The crystal core immediately emitted a heavy aura. Li Luoqiu instantly determined that it must be a stone-type crystal core, and its level was not low. Heavens! Sect leader is so strong. He killed the fire dragon and the stone man. Li Luoqiu was deeply shocked. Wait! She suddenly thought of something and said in surprise, Sect leader, why did you say you accidentally entered the stone man's territory? The purple lightning cub. Jun Changshao said. Li Luoqiu immediately stood up and said in shock, Death Valley has a rare thunder-type beast. Yes. Jun Changshao said, when I saw it, I immediately went to capture it, and then. He paused and said, yes. I spent a lot of effort to subdue it. He did not say that he directly captured it with the sect leader's ball. After all, it was too shocking. However, sect leader Jun did not know that even though he spent a lot of effort, he still shocked our beautiful and enchanting hall master Li to the point that her body was trembling. She stared with her big eyes and said, Sect leader subdued the purple lightning cub? Yes. Jun Changshao said. This guy had been very casual when he started talking about Death Valley, but he shocked Li Luoqiu to the point that she was in a daze. It was acceptable to kill 2 overlords. But subduing a violet lightning tiger cub, wasn't that a little too shocking? You don't believe me? Jun Changshao said, let's go, I will summon it and let you see. After saying that, he walked out of the main hall. Li Luoqiu hurriedly followed, thinking, could it be that sect leader really subdued the purple lightning cub? On the martial arts field, Su Xiaoma was explaining how to kill the fire dragon with spittle flying everywhere. The process was not particularly complicated, but under his explanation, it suddenly became full of ups and downs and twists and turns. The hearts of the hundreds of disciples were sometimes suspended and sometimes sped up. It was as if they were on a roller coaster. Tisk, tisk. Tian Qi said from afar, Senior Martial Brother Su is not a storyteller. It is a waste of his talent. Yes. Li Fei's mouth twitched and said, after hearing him say that, I am starting to doubt whether I participated in the killing of the fire dragon. Su Xiaoma continued to narrate the story vividly. When he finished talking about the fire dragon, the sect leader and hall master Li walked out of the main hall. Don't talk nonsense. Jun Changshao waved his hand and said, go, go, let me have the martial arts field. If you want to know what will happen, listen to the next round. After Su Xiaoma finished speaking, he hurriedly stepped aside. The hundreds of disciples also retreated and surrounded the martial arts field. Swoosh! Jun Changshao took out the sect leader ball, then smiled and said, since you are all here, I will let you see a rare purple lightning cub. Purple lightning cub? Many disciples looked at each other, expressing their confusion. Cough, cough. Su Xiaoma moistened his throat and said loudly, after sect leader killed the fire dragon, he subdued a rare thunder-type ferocious beast. Its whole body was emitting purple thunder and lightning. It was really majestic. Oh my god, a thunder-type ferocious beast. That is a very rare ferocious beast. Sect leader actually subdued it. The disciples' faces were full of admiration and they couldn't take their eyes off him. Swoosh! Under everyone's gaze, sect leader Jun raised his hand and suddenly waved it at the center of the martial arts field, shouting, come out, purple lightning cub. Boom! The sect leader ball flew out, flashing in midair. Immediately, a ferocious beast appeared on the martial arts field. It was a little thing with big ears and a long nose. Gah! The atmosphere instantly froze. Li Luoqiu and the disciples stared at it, thinking, could it be, Hoot? Hoot! The little guy barked twice. Therefore, everyone was sure that it was a little wild boar. Jun Changshao maintained his waving motion, but his whole body was instantly petrified. He howled in his heart, I fucking took the wrong sect leader ball. Sect leader. Li Luoqiu turned around and said speechlessly, do you think we have never seen a pig or a tiger? Chapter 208. That chubby little guy looked like a pig, but it might not be a pig. But it was definitely not a tiger. Therefore, when the sect leader summoned it, Li Luoqiu felt like her intelligence was being insulted. Senior brother, is this little thing a pig? It looks like one. Although I have never seen a tiger, I know it should be similar to a cat. The disciples started to discuss. Jun Changshao, who took the gate palm ball by mistake, felt extremely embarrassed. He just wanted to act cool, why was it so difficult? Go back. Jun Changshao shouted at Peppa Boar. Whoosh! The Tai Chi pattern on the gate palm ball flashed and instantly sucked the chubby little guy into it. Look carefully. Jun Changshao took out another gate palm ball and said, this time, it is a real purple lightning tiger cub. Swish! He suddenly waved it and said, come out, purple lightning tiger cub. Li Luoqiu rolled her eyes at him. The disciples, who were originally very excited, suddenly lost their interest because the sect leader summoned a pig. Bang! The gate palm ball shot out light. Roar! The majestic and mighty purple lightning tiger cub stood on the training field and roared. Purple lightning exploded around its body, and its acting cool instantly increased. Li Luoqiu and the other disciples, who did not take it seriously at first, gradually widened their eyes and mouths when they saw the fierce beast that was almost 10 feet tall. Purple stripes, a bloody mouth, and sharp teeth. This was definitely a tiger beast. Oh my god! It really is a thunder tiger beast. So mighty. The disciples were shocked, and the worship in their eyes became even stronger. Swish! Jun Changshao strode over and rode on the purple lightning tiger cub, giving Li Luoqiu a side attack, and said with a smile, my contract beast is not bad, right? Summoning the purple lightning tiger cub made him very embarrassed. Fortunately, the purple lightning tiger cub saved his face, and he still acted cool with a little regret. Night came. After cultivating for a period of time, Jun Changshao sat down in his study and began to seriously consider the future. Acting tough was nothing more than adding some spice to his boring life. What he really needed to consider was how to make his sect stronger. Furthermore, there were only 9 months left before he went to challenge the Sacred Spring Sect. Can Qingyang and the others break through to Martial Master? Jun Changshao murmured. In his opinion, if the Haoqi sect had Martial Master level disciples, the Sacred Spring Sect would certainly have a lot of them, and their levels would not be low either. Right now, Jun Changshao muttered, it's better to let them break through to Martial Master and become stronger. Furthermore, if he wanted to raise his realm, he couldn't lack experience. Even if he was provided with resources, he was still a flower that grew in a greenhouse. He would not be able to withstand the ravages of the storm and had to undergo life and death experiences. Jun Changshao had such an idea because of the coldness and decisiveness displayed by the disciples after they came out of Death Valley and killed the disciples of Black Eagle Hall. Not bad. The system said, the strength of martial arts cannot be lacking in resources and experience. Jun Changshao murmured, therefore, how to obtain more resources and how to let them gain experience is the most important thing. In terms of resources, he could rely on the medicinal herbs cultivated by Elder Wei, because the quality was higher than the ones on the market. The high-quality medicinal herbs sent by the AI family will take 2 months to become useful. It should be soon. As for experience, Jun Changshao held his chin and said, I can let the disciples organize their own groups and go to the wild or dangerous places to gain experience. The system said, fighting with the fierce beasts can only increase their ruthlessness. Fighting with the martial artists can increase their overall strength. That makes sense. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, I can let them participate in more competitions and fight with powerful martial arts to improve their combat ability. No need to go through so much trouble. The system said, there is a product called the Sect's Experience Tower in the mall. The host and disciples can train at home without leaving the house. Sect's Experience Tower. Jun Changshao was startled, and said, "Is it easy to farm?" The system said, "After the sect construction reaches level 3, in theory, it is easier to spawn compared to sniper rifles and divine rank martial arts." After hearing this, Jun Changshao rolled his eyes. He had refreshed dozens of times in Death Valley, and even the divine rank ice attribute martial arts were spawned, but he did not see the sect's experience tower. And it still had the nerve to say that it was easier to farm than divine rank martial arts. The system was speechless. The divine rank martial arts that are even harder to farm than the experience tower have been spawned. What is the host dissatisfied with? That's right. Jun Changshao was startled. What am I dissatisfied with? Schwa. He opened the data panel and clicked on the beginner's mall. After the luck value increased to 1 point, he had the idea of respawning again. This time, it gave him a legitimate reason. Shio. He pulled down the mall and a new product appeared. Jun Changshao immediately saw a product called Universal Extended Magazine in the first row. Clicking on the details, it was introduced as a firearm that could increase the capacity of bullets, and the price was only 20 contribution points. This thing is not bad. Jun Changshao bought 2. Continuing to look at the products in the mall, he found a defensive martial arts called Seal Barrier. The quality of this skill was at the beginner stage of high grade. After forming a seal, one would use spiritual energy to form a defensive barrier in front of the body, and the price was 50 contribution points. The sect did not have any defensive martial arts, so Jun Changshao bought it without hesitation and copied 1,000 copies. Ding! Detected that the host has purchased a defensive martial arts from the mall, automatically matching it with the sect's martial arts. Currently, the sect's martial arts that Iron Bone could allow disciples to cultivate were Yi Jin Jing, Self-Chop, Rupturing Fist, Mountain Splitting Palm, and Barrier. Including the difficult-to-cultivate Ling Jian Divine Technique and Drizzle Building's Ghost Leap. Mental cultivation, movement, sword, palm, fist, spiritual energy martial arts, and defensive martial arts were all available. These could not be compared to the dozens and hundreds of mental cultivation methods available in the big sects, but because most of them were system-type martial arts, one of them could replace many of them. With an extra point of luck, the refreshed products are indeed different. Jun Changshao grinned and continued to scroll down the mall. In the end, he cried. Because he refreshed 4 times in a row and spent 80 contribution points, not a single useful item was refreshed. What's the use of this 1 point of luck? Jun Changshao was furious, but he still refreshed it again. After the refreshed products, the first product that caught his eye had a small pagoda engraved on it, and below it were the words Sect's Training Pagoda. Ha ha ha. It was finally refreshed. Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the details, and the content was item, Sect's Training Pagoda Introduction, a cultivation pagoda for martial artists to train, has a total of 9 floors, and each floor has a corresponding training feature. The higher the level of the sect, the higher the difficulty of the training. Advantage, suitable for sect members to enter for training, can undergo comprehensive martial arts training. Disadvantage, those who enter the training pagoda will begin the training in the form of a soul. If they fail, they will not die, but will be weakened for a period of time. Price, 200 contribution points. Ding! The host has spent 200 contribution points, obtained Sect's Training Pagoda X1, has been transferred to the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 3031000. Chapter 209. After spending a few hundred contribution points, Jun Changshao refreshed the Sect's Tower of Trials. Although the price was high, there were still the expanded magazine and defensive techniques. These 2 items alone would cost at least a few hundred contribution points. When sect leader Jun thought about it, he immediately felt that it was worth it. Since he had what he wanted, he would definitely take it out. The system said, the Tower of Trials is similar to a normal 9-story tower, so it is recommended that the host place it in an open area. Oh! Jun Changshao began to think about where to place it. In the end, he decided on the back mountain. Since it was going to be developed sooner or later, it was quite suitable to place the Tower of Trials there. The next day, Jun Changshao arrived at the back mountain early in the morning and found a more ideal location to take out the Tower of Trials. The 9-story tower was very exquisite. However, Sect leader Jun was speechless. This is what you mean by similar to a normal 9-story tower? The system said, if you place it on the ground, it will activate its normal form. Oh. Jun Changshao placed the small tower on the ground and moved away from it. After a while, the Tower of Trials shook slightly. Every floor and every entrance of the tower had a stream of light lingering around it, and then it quickly enlarged. After a while, a 20-meter wide and 100-meter long 9-story tower appeared in their field of vision. Damn! Jun Changshao looked up and exclaimed, it's so tall. Look, what's that? It looks like a tower. Strange, it wasn't here yesterday. Why is it here all of a sudden? When they arrived at the outer courtyard, the disciples who were preparing for their morning exercises realized that there was a straight Tower of Trials behind the main hall. Second senior brother. Su Xiaoma was stunned. Did you find a craftsman to build this? No. Li Qingyang was also dumbfounded. Let's go and take a look. The disciples didn't do their morning exercises. Instead, they swarmed into the back mountain and finally stood in front of the majestic Tower of Trials. Feeling the heavy aura, Yi Xingqian was shocked. This tower is a treasure. As expected of the Night Emperor, a professional. The door of the Tower of Trials was tightly shut. There were lines drawn on the door, which looked very mysterious and strange. Swish! At this moment, the first level of the tower lit up, and a deep voice sounded, Jun Changshao challenges the first level of the Tower of Trials. The sect leader went in. The disciples hurriedly raised their heads, hoping to see the sect leader from the window on the first floor. However, all they could see was a flash of light, and nothing could be seen. Tower of Trials. Yi Xingqian thought to himself, could it be that it's similar to the training grounds of the large sects that can provide experience for their disciples? Not bad. There was such a meaning. Lu Qianqian also came. She leaned against the tree and thought, could it be similar to Taishian Xingzong's extreme cold experiential training formation? Because they couldn't see the situation inside the pagoda, the disciples could only wait outside. About an hour later, the light in the tower weakened, and the deep voice sounded again, Jun Changshao, challenge successful. Mighty sect leader. Mighty sect leader. Although the disciples did not know what the sect leader was challenging, as long as he succeeded, they would definitely cheer for him. Creak. At this moment, the tightly shut door of the pagoda opened. Jun Changshao held the door and walked out with trembling legs. The expression on his face was extremely interesting. Xiao Ziji hurriedly ran over and helped him up. Sect leader, are you okay? Jun Changshao raised his hand and wiped the sweat off his forehead. The corner of his mouth twitched as he said, really fucking awesome. Sect leader. Su Xiaoma leaned over and asked, what is this pagoda? You want to know? Jun Changshao said weakly, you can go in and take a look. Can we go in? Su Xiaoma was overjoyed and slipped into the pagoda before the door closed. Li Qingyang, Li Fei, and Tian Qi followed closely behind. After all, the words, Tower of Trials, were too attractive. Yi Xingqian and Lu Qianqian thought for a while and followed in. Sect leader. After helping the sect leader to the stone, Xiao Ziji scratched his head and said, I'm going in too. Jun Changshao waved his hand and said, go in, go in. Swoosh. Xiao Ziji ran in quickly, afraid that there would be no place for him if he was late. Li Luoqiu walked over and said with interest, this Tower of Trials doesn't seem to be simple. It's not simple at all. Jun Changshao panted. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, Sect leader went in and was trained to this extent. I'm afraid it will be even more tragic if they go in. Jun Changshao said, Tower of Trials, if they don't train hard, then it's meaningless. Li Luoqiu shook her head. She secretly prayed for the disciples who went in, hoping that they would come out with some dignity. Creak. The door of the pagoda suddenly closed, and a magnificent aura spread out. A deep voice echoed in the back mountain, Tower of Trials, open. Inside. The moment the door of the pagoda closed, the originally dark environment suddenly became bright. Li Qingyang and dozens of disciples immediately saw that in the corner in front of them, there was a staircase leading to the top. Let's go. Everyone stepped forward and found that their bodies could not move at all, as if they were bound by some kind of force. What's going on? Senior brother, why can't I move? The disciples exclaimed. Not long after, their souls seemed to have suffered a heavy blow, and they suddenly lost their minds for a short time. When they woke up, they found that they were already standing at the entrance of the staircase. Everyone's expression suddenly became sluggish. They were so far behind just now, how did they come here in an instant? Second senior brother. Su Xiaoma said with a trembling voice, why is your body transparent and glowing? Speaking of this, he stopped abruptly, because he realized that he was also transparent and glowing. To be exact. All the disciples standing at the entrance of the staircase were in this state. Look behind. Li Fei exclaimed. Everyone turned their heads in unison. There were many disciples standing at the position just now, including himself. His body was stiff. This, Li Qingyang and the others were dumbfounded. Looking at themselves from another angle was undoubtedly very frightening. Moreover, they were clearly standing at the entrance of the tower, so why were they standing here in a transparent flowing light? The more they thought about it, the more their scalps went numb. Could it be that they had seen a ghost? Yi Xingqian frowned and said, we are now in soul form. Soul form? Everyone was even more confused. Yi Xingqian said, if I'm not wrong, this Tower of Trials binds our physical bodies, and uses our souls to undergo the trials. With this explanation, everyone immediately understood. The one standing at the back was his physical body, and now he was in soul form. This was still very frightening. Su Xiaoma did not care about his physical body or soul, and walked up the staircase with his short legs. The iron bone disciples hurriedly followed. Whoosh! In the outside world, when they swarmed up to the first level of the Tower of Trials, a flowing light suddenly flashed, and a heavy voice sounded, 53 disciples collectively challenged the first level of the Tower of Trials. It's about to begin. Jun Changshao recalled his experience just now, and a chill ran down his spine, but he still grinned and said, babies, it's time to show your real skills. This smile was clearly one of schadenfreude. Seeing this, Li Luoqiu shook her head and said, good luck to them. P.S. Please recommend me, please give me monthly votes. Chapter 210. On the first floor of the Tower of Trials. This wasn't a tower building, but a place of nothingness. When Li Qingyang and the others appeared in their soul form and saw everything inside, they were all surprised. There were 9 floors in the Tower of Trials, and each floor was equivalent to an independent space. Because of the different styles of trials, the illusions were also different. To be exact, every tower had a hidden mystery, and it wasn't only 20 meters tall from the outside. Li Qingyang and the others stepped on a circular stone platform. Second senior brother. Su Xiaoma looked around and said, the aura here is a bit strange. Li Qingyang said solemnly, since it's the Tower of Trials, there must be danger. Everyone must be careful. Okay. Everyone hurriedly approached, and they became cautious. At this moment, a heavy voice sounded, 53 disciples collectively challenged the first floor of the Tower of Trials. It's starting. Yi Xingqian's expression also became solemn. The sect leader had succeeded in the challenge and walked out in an extremely sorry state. He definitely didn't dare to be careless. Everyone became serious and prepared for the trial. Boom! The stone platform that was a few meters tall suddenly dropped and finally reached the same level as the ground. Whoosh whoosh. A strange wind blew over, and there was a heavy aura. Let's go. Li Qingyang was the first to move. At the same time, he mobilized the psionic power in the cyclone and was fully alert. Xiao Ziji, Su Xiaoma, and the others also unleashed their psionic power. In case of an emergency, they could respond in time. The atmosphere became solemn. With every step they took, the disciples of the Iron Bone sect tensed up. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a wave of air that was visible to the naked eye swept over from the end like a rolling river. Swoosh. Swoosh. Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua immediately took out their iron shields. Although they were soul forms, the space rings and the things inside were also soul forms and could be used directly. However, the shields they took out were also flowing light. It was like a 3D projection. Gather together. Li Qingyang shouted when he took out his iron shield. Swoosh. Swoosh. More than 50 disciples gathered together and hid behind their senior brothers. Hoo hoo. Waves of air swept over. At first, it looked like a surging river, but soon, it turned into raging waves. It was impossible to block it with just a shield. The corner of Su Xiaoma's mouth twitched. Senior brother, this is bad. Dodge. Li Qingyang said. As soon as he finished speaking, it was as if a stormy wave that was dozens of meters high had come crashing down. It was not water, nor was it power. Like smoke, it wantonly surrounded everyone. This, Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. He and his junior brothers acted as if they were facing a great enemy, but in the end, it was just a ball of air. This was a little awkward. You scared me to death. Su Xiaoma patted his chest and walked out from behind the shield. However, his expression suddenly became sluggish. Because from the moment he lifted his foot to the ground, he appeared to be very slow. Second senior brother. He exclaimed, my body is so stiff. Me too. Li Fei walked out slowly. He looked like he was doing a mechanical dance. Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and the others spread out. Their movements were also stiff, and it was difficult for them to move. A slowing force? Yi Xingqian said with a serious expression. In his previous life, he knew of a type of force that could slow down a martial artist's speed. Wait a minute. It was not just slowing. Everyone gradually felt as if there was an invisible force pressing down on them, and it was gradually getting heavier. This is, Yi Xingqian said in a low voice, gravity. Outside. Jun Changshao said, the first level of the trial is a test of physical strength. It will increase in intensity according to the martial artist's strength. Can these precious disciples of mine last for an hour? The system said, due to the limitations of the sect's construction, the first level's gravity system is only 10 times stronger. They should be able to survive after taking the molding pill and the muscle molding room. So, the first level of the training tower's gravity is an upgraded version of the molding room? Jun Changshao murmured. The system said, you can think of it that way. Of course. It added, an hour is just the standard to pass. Only by continuing for a longer time can the body be better tempered. I understand, Jun Changshao said. Although he had only tempered for an hour, he could feel the obvious changes in his body. If it were not for something, he would have cultivated for a few hours inside. The system said, don't look for excuses. You just couldn't take it and came out because you were exhausted. Do you feel uncomfortable if you don't attack me for a day? Yes. Fuck you. The first level of the training tower. More than 50 disciples could still move slowly, but as the tenfold gravity exploded, each of them stood on the spot with a ferocious look on their faces. They felt as if they were carrying a heavy mountain on their shoulders, and their muscles were being squeezed by some kind of force. It was excruciating. Second senior brother, Su Xiaoma's expression became even more ferocious. His back was slightly bent, and he said in pain, so heavy. Li Qingyang was not feeling well either, but his expression was ferocious, and he could still stand straight. He said, "This should be the first level of the training tower. Everyone, hold on." They could hold on. After all the disciples who came in, except for Lu Qianqian, had gone through the molding room. However, the pressure brought by gravity was much more severe than using random punches. They were worried that they could not hold on for long. It was strange. Lu Qianqian had not gone through the molding room, but she could still stand straight despite the tenfold gravity. That was because this woman had gathered her psionic energy around her body and was fighting against the gravity. The first level of the training tower's gravity system increased the gravity by tenfold according to each disciple's cultivation base. Therefore, the stronger the cultivation base, the higher the gravity they could withstand. Lu Qianqian's strength was unknown, but she was definitely not weak. After fighting against the gravity for more than 10 minutes, sweat began to gather on her forehead. She was already doing well. Look at Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others. After more than 10 minutes, they were all sweating profusely. Their expressions were ferocious, and they looked very happy. Some of them were very calm. One was Xiao Ziji, and the other was Yi Xingchen. Xiao Ziji's body had always been very strong. After more than 10 minutes of gravity tempering, his expression only changed slightly. Although Yi Xingchen's body had not been tempered to the extreme, this guy had activated the Taishian Sutra and could temporarily fight against the tenfold gravity. Just like that. 53 disciples were all suppressed on the first level. Except for a few accidents, most of them began to bend down. Time continued to pass. 30 minutes later, the disciples who had entered the training tower later and whose bodies were far inferior to their senior brothers had already squatted down. Their expressions were extremely ferocious. They could not take it anymore. Plop! Cui Bujian could not withstand it and was directly pressed to the ground. His soul exploded with a bang and instantly disappeared from the first level. Cui Bujian, challenge failed. Bang! Bang! Within a few minutes, several disciples could not withstand the tenfold gravity and fell to the ground one after another. Their bodies exploded and were eliminated. They did not die, but their souls returned to their bodies. However, after regaining control of their bodies, they collapsed to the ground and rolled up their eyelids. White foam came out of their mouths, and their bodies twitched violently. The most appropriate word to describe it was too horrible to look at. P.S. Thank you to Memories of Childhood for the 10,000 coins tip. Happy birthday to you. Chapter 211. Disciples could enter the Tower of Trials at will to challenge, but if they failed, there would be punishment. For example, Cui Bujian and the others. They were lying on the ground, foaming at the mouth and twitching all over. They were experiencing the double punishment of their bodies and souls. That was definitely not a good feeling. Sigh. Hearing that disciples were being eliminated one after another, Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "These disciples still lack training. They have to train hard and crazily." He had already thought it through. Next, all the disciples had to pass the first level's gravity test in 1 hour. The system said, "It's difficult." "It's only challenging when it's difficult," Jun Changshao said. At this moment, the heavy voice sounded again. Li Tiansheng, challenge failed. This disciple joined the sect together with Long Xiang and the others. Later, he was assigned to the Drizzle Hall and majored in movement techniques. His body was a little weak. To be honest, it was already very good. If it were any other sect's disciples, a large number of them would have been eliminated in 10 minutes. Time continued to pass. Soon, it was 40 minutes. During this time, disciples were being eliminated one after another. There were 33 people left on the first level. Most of these disciples were from the first batch of disciples. Their bodies were very strong, so they could still hold on. Of course. The second batch of disciples, Long Xiang and Li Yuhua, were still fighting hard. Li Yuhua had gone through Xiao Ziji's special training and could still hold on. However, Long Xiang was already at the end of his rope. No, I can't fall. I have to hold on. I have to become stronger. Strong perseverance supported Long Xiang. He clenched his teeth tightly and remained in a half-squatting position. His exposed muscles were bulging with blue veins. Time passed bit by bit. From 40 minutes to more than 50 minutes. They were only a few minutes away from the challenge's success. Long Xiang and Li Yuhua were still struggling to hold on. They were still defending the dignity of the second batch of disciples. As for Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji, they could definitely hold on. However, the torture brought by gravity was far worse than in the molding room. Hold on, hold on. As the only female disciple present, Lu Qianqian was still persevering, but her brows were tightly knitted as she endured the pain brought about by the gravity. Yi Xingchen was also suffering. However, as a martial emperor, how could he be defeated by a mere tenfold gravity? The most valiant was Xiao Ziji, because among the 33 disciples present, he was the only one who could stand straight and resist the gravity with his body. What a joke! Iron Bone's #1 main tank wasn't just for show. Come on, come on. Let the storm come even fiercer. Xiao Ziji roared in his heart with a ferocious expression. His desire to refine his body to the extreme was growing stronger and stronger. Ding! After a few minutes, a crisp sound came from the first floor, followed by a deep voice, 33 disciples, challenge successful. Whoosh! In an instant, a flight of stairs leading to the second level appeared in front of the illusory land. Disciples who succeed in the challenge may proceed to the second level. Disciples who wish to remain may continue to withstand the gravity and train. Disciples who wish to descend may wish to leave. A heavy voice rang in everyone's ears. Plop! Plop! As soon as the voice fell, Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and the others, who had endured for 2 hours, heaved a sigh of relief. They were all pressed to the ground and howled in their hearts, I don't want to play anymore. I want to leave. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, everyone's soul dissipated and returned to their bodies. Their bodies immediately swayed. Although they didn't fall to the ground and spit white foam like Cui Bujian, after experiencing tenfold gravity for an hour, their bodies were sore and their legs seemed to be filled with mercury. They couldn't lift them at all. At that moment, they finally understood why the sect leader was so miserable after succeeding in the challenge. Not all the disciples gave up. Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji were still resisting the gravity. After all, this was a good opportunity to refine their bodies. Lu Qianqian didn't intend to go to the second level or leave. Just like that. The 7 inner disciples continued to refine their bodies on the first level. Li Fei and Tian Qi endured for 1.5 hours. When they couldn't take it anymore, they were teleported out. Su Xiaoma was a little stronger than them, but he only lasted for 10 minutes before leaving. The 3 of them held the door and walked out one after another with trembling legs. Then they lay on the grass like mud. They tried hard to breathe fresh air, which made them think. It's so good to be alive. Jun Changshao, who was sitting next to them, smiled and said, Did you feel good? The 3 of them almost couldn't help but cry. It was too scary, too scary. They couldn't go back into play even if they were beaten to death. Li Luoqiu murmured, There's only Lu Qianqian and Li Qingyang left. I don't know how long they can hold on. Jun Changshao said, The longer the better. Yes. Although the tenfold gravity was terrifying, the longer they could hold on, the stronger the tempering of their bodies would be. The 4 people on the first level also knew that, but they were still gritting their teeth and holding on. Not long after, the time reached 2 hours. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen were sweating profusely. Blue veins popped out on their foreheads, and their faces were hideous. Lu Qianqian's frown deepened. But after holding on for another 20 minutes, she thought of leaving and her soul returned to her body. And so, only Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Yi Xingchen were left on the first level of the Tower of Experience. Although the three of them were in great pain, they didn't think of giving up. Soon, 3 hours passed. The tenfold gravity seemed endless. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen were already half-squatting, as if they were carrying Mount Tai on their backs. Xiao Ziji was also bent over, but his legs were still able to stand straight. He wasn't in a half-squatting position. Just like that, another hour passed. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen finally couldn't hold on any longer. They thought of leaving one after another. The two of them challenged for 4 hours, which was 4 hours in falling star continent's time. Whoosh! Li Qingyang was the first to walk out while holding on to the door. His legs were trembling violently, and there was a faint possibility that he would collapse. Damn it! Yi Xingchen also walked out while holding on to the door. He was unwilling to give up. If I still had the body of my previous life, I would be able to withstand the gravity and walk as if I were flying. Sinful self is the only one left. Jun Changshao murmured, "Can you hold on until lunch?" Xiao Ziji was the only one left on the first level of the Tower of Experience. At this moment, his legs were bent, and his body was also bent over. However, he gritted his teeth and held on. His entire face was distorted to a frightening degree. However, there was a limit to the physical body. After resisting for 4.5 hours, he finally reached his limit. He could only think of leaving, and his soul returned to his body. The disciples' challenge has ended. Xiao Ziji has become the record holder of the first level of the Tower of Experience with 4.5 hours. A deep voice sounded. Jun Changshao said with a surprised expression, "I was the first to succeed." Why isn't there a record? The system said, the host endured for an hour and didn't continue to challenge. Besides, this is a record to motivate the other disciples. Why are you, a sect leader, joining in the fun? That's true. Jun Changshao said, I'm a sect leader. Why should I care about this kind of record? Chapter 212. More than 50 disciples entered the training tower, and more than 30 succeeded. Xiao Ziji was the one who lasted until the end and set the record at 2.5 hours. This was normal. Ever since he joined the sect, Xiao Ziji had been walking the path of strengthening his body. It was reasonable for him to have the last laugh in the first level of training his body. As for the second level of training, none of the successful disciples went up, because they were all exhausted after enduring the tenfold gravity. The first level of the training tower was to train the body, and it was similar to a soul. In fact, it was a 100% imitation of the disciple's body. Under the pressure of the gravity, the pain of the body could be deeply felt after returning to the original body. Then, why did they use this soul-like form to replace the real body training? Because not all disciples had a strong body. If they used their original body to withstand the tenfold gravity, they would probably be crushed to death. As for the second and third levels of training, the training methods were different, and it would definitely be more dangerous. Imitating the disciples' body and training in a soul form, even if they failed the challenge, they would only be punished. This was the training tower. It was a cultivation place that could allow the disciples to avoid injuries and at the same time, allow them to train in all aspects. Phew! Outside the tower, Li Qingyang and the others lay on the grass, breathing rapidly. They felt like their bodies did not belong to them. The tenfold gravity training was much better than the molding room. The disciples who failed the challenge were automatically sent out. They lay on the grass with their eyelids rolled back and their bodies twitching violently. Although failing a challenge in the Tower of Trials would not result in death, the punishment was equivalent to dying once. As for the side effects, they would last for an entire day. The next day, Jun Changshao woke up early. The fatigue in his body had dissipated, and he was full of energy. He jumped a few times on the spot and said, "I feel much lighter." He went to the training room and punched the testing machine with his right fist, which was imbued with psionic energy. The strength displayed was 90,000 pounds. Jun Changshao said, "I've increased by more than 100 pounds since yesterday." With his current cultivation and physical strength, there was almost no increase in strength after a whole day of molding in the molding room. 1 hour in the training tower and an increase of 100 pounds, the improvement was still very obvious. The system said, the host has not only improved his strength, but also his physical strength. If he continues to train, he will definitely benefit a lot. Jun Changshao said, "This tower of experience is really not bad. Even if I use up all my contribution points, I'll still make a profit." Previously, he had forcefully comforted himself, but now, he truly felt that it was worth it. Li Qingyang and the others, who had endured for a longer period of time, felt as light as swallows after they got up. Their strength had also increased by varying degrees. Ha ha ha. Li Tian jumped up and down on the training field like an idiot and said, "I feel like I'm about to ascend to the heavens." Many of the experienced disciples went to the training room to test their strength. When they saw their strength increase, they were all overjoyed. That Tower of Trials was simply valiant. Let's go and train." After tasting the sweetness, the disciples forgot the pain and hurried to the back of the mountain. Especially Su Xiaoma and Li Fei. Yesterday, they had thought that they would rather die than play, but in the end, they ran faster than the outer sect disciples. What they meant was that they wouldn't play even if they were beaten to death. As long as they weren't beaten to death, they would play. However, when they arrived at the back of the mountain, the first level of the Tower of Trials flashed. Obviously, someone had entered before them. Who? Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Yi Xingqian. After the three of them got up, they didn't go to test themselves. They felt that their physical strength had increased, so they came to train without hesitation. Let's go in. Creak. The tower door opened by itself. Su Xiaoma went in without hesitation. His body froze, and he entered the first level in a simulated state. Tian Qi and Li Fei followed closely behind. Su Xiaoma challenged the first level of the Tower of Trials. Tian Qi challenged the first level of the Tower of Trials. Li Fei, challenge. When the three of them stood in the illusory land, a deep voice sounded. 10 times the gravity instantly pressed down on them, and they began a brand new journey. Cui Bujian, Li Tian, and the others came up one after another. In a short time, more than 70 disciples had gathered on the first level. Among them, there was someone who was experiencing 10 times the gravity for the first time. His expression suddenly became interesting. Bang! A few minutes later, 2 disciples were eliminated one after another. They were new disciples and hadn't fully adapted to the molding in the molding room. If they came here to experience the gravity, they would definitely kneel. Jun Changshao, who was sitting on a rock outside the tower, murmured, experiencing for a few minutes and being weak for an entire day, "Isn't this a waste of time?" The system said, therefore, the host needs to set the requirements to enter the Tower of Trials. Jun Changshao began to think. Combining the performance of Cui Bujian, Li Tian, and the others, he finally decided that disciples who didn't undergo 2 months of molding in the molding room were prohibited from entering the Tower of Trials. More than half an hour later, more than half of the 60 disciples in the Tower of Trials were eliminated. However, the disciples who failed the second challenge lasted a little longer than yesterday. This meant that there was progress. Li Qingyang and the other 2, who were the first to train, successfully endured for an hour and succeeded in the challenge again. Success didn't mean the end. Because they wanted to pursue the ultimate physical body tempering, they were still resisting 10 times the gravity. Su Xiaoma, Tian Qi, and the others were also challenging their limits, hoping to hold on for a longer time. As long as the disciples continued, they didn't care about the success of the challenge. They only cared about being able to experience for a longer time or to challenge Xiao Ziji's record. The recording function of the Tower of Trials was to encourage the disciples to work hard. However, Su Xiaoma and the others weren't as crazy as Xiao Ziji when it came to body molding. After enduring for an hour, they couldn't bear it anymore and automatically left. On the first floor, Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Yi Xingchen were left. I can't lose, I have to hold on. Yi Xingchen, who was resisting 10 times the gravity, clenched his fists, the veins on his face popping out. As a martial emperor, he definitely had the pride to not admit defeat. Unfortunately, the one who seized the body was the woodcutter after all. His body molding was much later than Xiao Ziji. In the end, he was defeated together with Li Qingyang. The two of them held on for 10 more minutes than yesterday. The improvement was very significant. Phew. Phew. Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen held on to the door and walked out. Once again, they collapsed on the grass. Once again, they felt that their bodies didn't belong to them. Xiao Ziji was still persevering. Soon, he reached 5 hours, matching the record he set yesterday. This couldn't end. He had to break the record. However, after holding on for more than 10 minutes, he couldn't bear the gravity anymore and had no choice but to retreat. Strange. Seeing Xiao Ziji stagger out, Jun Changshao was puzzled. Sinful self lasted longer than yesterday. Why didn't he set a new record? The system said, the new record needs to be improved for an hour before it can be recognized. I see. Jun Changshao understood. If he wanted the Tower of Trials to recognize a new record, he had to endure for 6 hours. This was undoubtedly a bit difficult. Even if he wanted to break the record set by Xiao Ziji, it wasn't something he could do in a day or two. Chapter 213. The next day. After the disciples finished their morning exercises, Jun Changshao announced that the disciples who had not spent 2 months in the training room would be banned from entering the training tower. If they could not withstand the first level of gravity, they would kneel the moment they entered. It was undoubtedly a waste of time. Sect Master Li Qingyang said, there are not many training rooms in the training room. We can't arrange for a few hundred disciples. When there were only a few hundred disciples, the training rooms were already in short supply. Now that there were only 500 disciples, it would be even more miserable. Jun Changshao pondered for a while and went to the training room. He bought 10 muscle training rooms and ordered that the disciples who had been training for more than 2 months did not need to come in again. With this, the problem was solved. Although it was still in short supply, at least the disciples could go in and train for a period of time every day. Because of the continuous consumption of the spirit array and the 200 points that he had just spent, Jun Changshao now only had 100 points left. It was very tragic and insecure. However, if it could make the disciples stronger and move towards the strongest sect, he would not feel the pinch even if he spent it all. There are still 497 vacancies in the sect. If we fill them up, we can earn a lot of contribution points. Jun Changshao murmured. He already had plans to open the sect again and recruit disciples. In this way, the disciples who did not have a strong physical body would be trained in the training room first. The disciples who met the requirements would enter the training tower. Of course. Jun Changshao would not be idle either. After dinner, he would enter the first level of the training tower alone and start training his physical body. Why did it have to be at night? Because the disciples had already trained. They would not be able to see the hideous expressions caused by the gravity. As the sect master, he had to maintain his dignity at all times. During the second training, Jun Changshao was very serious. Not only did he succeed in the challenge, but he also held on for more than 4 hours. In terms of physical strength, he was not weaker than Xiao Ziji. After all, after buying the training room, he often spent the whole night training. Phew! Under the starry night, Jun Changshao lay on the grass and breathed rapidly. His face gradually relaxed. This was his 3rd time in the training tower and he held on for 6 hours. Although he broke the record, the training tower did not recognize him because of his identity as the sect master. Forget it, forget it. The record was a kind of motivation for the disciples. He did not need to care. At this moment, Jun Changshao noticed that Lu Qianqian, dressed in white, had appeared in the night and stopped in front of the pagoda door. Why didn't this woman train during the day? Could it be that she had to maintain the demeanor of an ice-cold beauty? Lu Qianqian noticed the sect leader, but she only glanced at him before getting up and entering the experience tower. Swish! The first layer of light flickered, illuminating the surroundings. A deep voice sounded, Lu Qianqian challenges the first level of the Tower of Experience. Jun Changshao murmured, she has never been to the molding room before. It's already very good that she can last for a few hours the first time. How long can she last this time? Crack. He took out the mechanical stopwatch he had previously purchased from his spatial ring and began to calculate the time for Lu Qianqian. Needless to say, some of the seemingly useless items purchased from the refresh shop could sometimes show a little bit of value. An hour later. The heavy voice sounded again, Lu Qianqian, challenge successful. Jun Changshao wasn't surprised. What he cared about was whether this woman could last for 4 hours. Time continued to pass. Jun Changshao, who was completely exhausted, finally fell asleep on the grass. The stopwatch in his hand kept ticking. 5 hours later. A voice sounded from the Tower of Experience. Disciples' challenge has ended. Lu Qianqian has become the record holder for the first level of the Tower of Experience with 6 hours. She actually broke Xiao Ziji's record in her second trial. Unfortunately, sect leader Jun was too tired. He slept like a dead pig and didn't hear the voice at all. Creak. The pagoda door opened, and Lu Qianqian walked out with a pale face. If Jun Changshao saw this, he would be extremely shocked. Because after enduring for 6 hours, she still had the strength to walk. The physical training in the Tower of Experience is much better than the extreme cold training array. Lu Qianqian murmured and saw the snoring sect leader in the distance. She supported her weak body and walked towards the inner courtyard. However, after a few steps, she stopped in front of Jun Changshao. Her eyes were still cold. After dawn, Jun Changshao suddenly opened his eyes and said, I actually fell asleep. When he got up, he found a blanket covering his body. There was a faint fragrance. Sect leader Jun instantly determined that it wasn't just a woman's fragrance. It was Lu Qianqian's. As an old single dog, he was actually able to determine who it was from the fragrance. He was indeed talented. Jun Changshao folded the blanket and murmured, she still knows how to care for her sect leader. As expected, she's cold-hearted but not cold-hearted. Speaking of which, how long did that woman last? Jun Changshao subconsciously looked up at the Tower of Experience and saw the words on the first level, record holder, Lu Qianqian. Time, 6 hours. Gah! He was stunned. That woman broke the record. After doing morning exercises and eating breakfast, Li Qingyang and the others continued to train in the Tower of Experience. When they saw that Lu Qianqian had broken the record on the first level, they were all dumbfounded. Oh my god! Su Xiaoma exclaimed, I didn't see eldest senior sister come in yesterday. When did she break junior brother Zhao's record? Xiao Ziji scratched his head and said in admiration, eldest senior sister is really amazing. He had only lasted 20 minutes longer than the second time. At this rate, it would take at least a few days to reach 6 hours. That woman is indeed not simple, Yi Xingchen thought to himself. He was already very surprised that she could use the ice element in Death Valley. Now that she had lasted 6 hours, her strength couldn't be underestimated. As a woman, Lu Qianqian had taken the record on the first level of the Tower of Experience. Many female disciples were overjoyed. They didn't dare to go in at first, but under the encouragement of eldest senior sister's record, they finally stepped into the Tower of Experience. Ling Yuanxue, who was determined to become a martial artist and prove who said that women were inferior to men, also went in. Although she didn't succeed, at least she had the courage. Just like that. With the birth of Lu Qianqian's record, the male disciples didn't want to admit defeat and trained even more crazily. The female disciples were encouraged and also boldly cultivated. The whole Iron Bone Tower was filled with the spirit of martial cultivation. Standing outside the Tower of Experience, Jun Changshao looked at the disciples going in and out, exuding an aura of, "I want to become stronger." A gratified smile appeared on his face. At night, he didn't go in to train. He was waiting for Lu Qianqian. Sure enough, around dawn, that woman came late. "Hey!" Jun Changshao, who was sitting on a rock, shouted, "It's so late. Why are you here to train instead of sleeping?" Lu Qianqian said, "Sect Master isn't sleeping either." Jun Changshao took out the blanket and said, "This should be yours, right?" "Sect Master gave me a bracelet, and I gave Sect Master a blanket," Lu Qianqian said. Jun Changshao was speechless. "I gave you an ice bracelet, and you gave me a blanket. This return gift is too cheap." Lu Qianqian was silent. When she put on the ice bracelet in Death Valley, she realized that the bracelet given by the Sect Master contained the power of ice and could increase the strength of her ice. Otherwise, it was impossible to seal the fire dragon beast for 4 to 5 breaths. Lu Qianqian said, "The Tower of Experience should be a high-level treasure. Can Sect Master separate the male and female training areas?" Jun Changshao thought for a moment, and said, "Yes, you can." However, he walked over and said, "Today, you have to go in with me to train." Lu Qianqian frowned slightly. Jun Changshao said, "I just want to see how strong your eldest disciple's physical body is to be able to break the record." Chapter 214. On the first floor of the Tower of Experience. Jun Changshao was enduring the tenfold gravity with a hideous expression on his face. He had been here for 4 hours. Although he was more used to it than the previous 2 times, it still didn't feel good. On the contrary, Lu Qianqian, who was standing next to him, frowned. Her forehead was dripping with sweat, but she looked much more relaxed. At that moment, Jun Changshao finally understood why she wasn't interested in the molding room. It turned out that her physical body was already very strong, so there was no need to mold it. She was young, but her cultivation was high, and she even had a special ice element. This eldest disciple was really not simple. "Qianqian," Jun Changshao resisted the gravity and said with difficulty, What is your background?" Lu Qianqian said, "I don't have a background." "No background? Only a ghost would believe that." Jun Changshao said, "You have a saint-grade spirit root and an ice element. You should be from a big family." Lu Qianqian was startled. "How does he know about my spirit root?" After purchasing the dazzling light ink realm, apart from Zhou Hong, the only other person in the sect who didn't want to see it was Sect Master Jun, of course. Jun Changshao said again, "Maybe you're from a big sect." Hearing the words big sect, Lu Qianqian's eyes shook slightly. Although this woman was very easy to hide, Jun Changshao still caught it. It seems that this woman really is from a big sect. Saint-grade spirit root. She was definitely a third-rate sect. Since she was from a big sect, why did she come to Qingyang County and join a small sect like his? At that moment, he was possessed by Sherlock Holmes and Detective Conan. Sect leader Jun began to rack his brain and finally came to the conclusion that he was too handsome and was accidentally discovered by her. She didn't hesitate to leave the big sect and join Iron Bone. His reasoning was very logical and meticulous. Who could find fault with it? Lu Qianqian said, "It's better that sect leader doesn't know about my matters." Jun Changshao said, "You must have done something in the big sect and was forced to leave. Joining Iron Bone is also to avoid trouble. I've already made myself very clear, yet he still wants to guess." Seeing that the woman was silent, Jun Changshao said, "It seems that my guess is pretty close." Lu Qianqian stopped talking and focused on resisting the gravity. Jun Changshao said, "You're my Iron Bone disciple for a day, and you'll be my Iron Bone disciple for a lifetime. If an enemy comes knocking on your door, I'll stand up for you." Lu Qianqian looked at him and said, "If my enemy was Wu Huang or Wu Sheng, would sect leader be able to help me?" Wu Huang, Wu Sheng. Was this woman's enemy that strong? Lu Qianqian said, "Sect master, you should focus on developing the sect. I will handle my own matters." Lu Qianqian, listen carefully. Jun Changshao straightened his slightly bent body and said, "Even if your enemy is a high and mighty martial emperor, as the sect leader of Iron Bone, I'll stand up for you." His words were sonorous and powerful, and were very strong. But under 10 times the gravity, his face, which should have been serious, still looked ferocious. Lu Qianqian was stunned. Plop. Because he was distracted by talking, sect leader Jun fell to the ground. Just as his soul was about to collapse, he hurriedly thought of leaving. Lu Qianqian stood on the first floor, the sect leader's words echoing in her ears. A moment later, a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth for the first time. This iceberg woman actually smiled. Lu Qianqian, who was already extraordinarily beautiful, could be described as having a smile that could topple cities, and then a smile that could topple countries. Unfortunately, sect leader Jun, who was holding the door and walking out, couldn't see it. The next day, under the control of Jun Changshao's thoughts, the first floor of the training pagoda was divided into 2 areas. One for the male disciples to train, and the other for the female disciples. Sect leader Jun specially divided the female disciples' training area into more than 20 separate areas, so that they could train alone. It couldn't be helped. Girls more or less cared about their makeup. If they were to be seen while enduring the gravity, it would definitely affect their condition. Sure enough. After the separation, the first batch of female disciples who entered the sect unscrupulously endured the 10 times gravity in the separate areas. One after another, there were people who successfully challenged the pagoda. Ling Yuanxue's improvement was also very obvious. From the initial 30+ minutes to 50+ minutes, he was close to completing the challenge. The male disciples who didn't receive any special treatment stood on the first floor as usual, their faces as ferocious as the devil's. They weren't little fresh meats who relied on their faces to make a living. As long as their physical body and strength could be improved, they would be happy even if they had to twist their faces every day. After obtaining the training pagoda, Li Qingyang and the others temporarily gave up on cultivating their spiritual power and focused on tempering their physical bodies. After all, having a solid foundation would be of great help to their martial path in the future. Yi Xingqian, who had suffered in his previous life, had a deep understanding of this. Therefore, as soon as he recovered the next day, he immediately went to temper his physical body. In this life, as long as I have a solid physical body, after I become a martial emperor, it will be easy for me to shatter the void. Night Emperor, who was enduring the 10 times gravity, had a strong glow in his eyes. In the end, he endured for 4 hours. It wasn't enough. There were still 6 hours left for him to surpass. 10 days later. After the Iron Bone disciples went through the first floor of the training pagoda, most of them were able to endure for an hour. Especially Li Qingyang and a few other inner disciples. After enduring for an hour, they only frowned. After a long period of training, they had already adapted well to the 10 times gravity. However, if they wanted to improve further, they had to continuously break through their limits. Li Qingyang, Yi Xingqian, and Xiao Ziji were completely infatuated with the 10 times gravity. They focused on tempering their physical bodies. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others had no hope of catching up. They were considering whether to ascend to the second floor. In the past, they had thought of going, but after enduring for an hour, they were already exhausted. They couldn't withstand the 10 times gravity and walk to the stairs. Although it was very painful now, they could at least lift their feet with difficulty. "Let's go," Su Xiaoma said, "to the second floor." Step. He, Li Fei, and Tian Qi gritted their teeth and lifted their feet. They endured the 10 times gravity and walked over. Finally, they climbed the stairs and reached the second floor. The disciples who were still struggling on the first floor had envy in their eyes. They thought to themselves, "I have to work hard too. I have to strive to reach the second floor like my senior brothers." Whoosh! The second floor of the training pagoda flashed. Su Xiaoma, challenged the second floor of the training pagoda. Li Fei, challenge, Tian Qi, challenge. However, after a few minutes, the heavy voice sounded again. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi failed. Creak. Whoosh. 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 The pagoda door opened. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi were directly thrown out. The three's eyelids rolled back. They foamed at the mouth and their bodies twitched violently. The degree of punishment was far more tragic than Cui Bujian and the others who had failed before. Hiss. The disciples who were preparing to go in and temper their physical bodies saw the miserable state of their senior brothers. They all gasped. This second level was definitely terrifying enough to make one's hair stand on end. Chapter 215. The purpose of the Experience Tower was to train in all aspects. The first level used gravity to compress the body and achieve extreme tempering. However, if it was purely tempering the body, it would not be perfect, because the muscles and bones also needed to be tempered. The flesh was the foundation, and the bones were the load-bearing beams. With the perfect combination of the two, a tall building could be built from the ground. Then, the theme of the second level of the Experience Tower was to temper the bones. This tempering did not use gravity to compress the bones, but a special flame to temper the bones and veins. When Su Xiaoma and the other two arrived at the second level, their bodies were immediately enveloped by a strange flame. Hundreds of bones and veins were immediately subjected to crazy tempering. The tempering of the body was only due to the compression of gravity. The pain of having his bones and tendons burned by the strange flame was bone-piercing. Su Xiaoma and the other two, who were not in good condition to begin with, were caught off guard by such a tempering. After a few minutes, their soul bodies directly collapsed. The punishment of the second level was far greater than that of the first level. Judging from their twitching, it would be difficult for them to recover without 2 days. Standing in front of the three, Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "You haven't even fully adapted to the first level, and you're in a hurry to go to the second level. You're quite brave." Fully adapting to this was very particular. Not to mention being able to walk as fast as flying, but at least being able to withstand it for an hour without any change in expression. As of now, no disciple could meet the requirements. Therefore, to go to the second level was a long and arduous task. With the three senior brothers as examples, the iron bone disciples obediently tempered their bodies on the first level. As they gradually adapted to the tenfold gravity, they did not feel too painful after cultivating for an hour and could cultivate as usual. In fact, tempering for an hour a day was already very effective. Unless they went to the extreme, there was no need to fight to the death. Li Qingyang realized that and no longer pursued the limit. Every day, he tempered for 2 hours, either cultivating the I Jin Jing or helping the sect leader with sect affairs. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and the others were the same. In their opinion, tempering the body was only a part of cultivation. The nurturing of spiritual energy could not be neglected. From the previous high spirits to gradually calming down, this was a normal development. However, Xiao Ziji and Yixingqian were still going to the extreme, tempering for 6 hours before stopping. The advantage of this was that his physical body could be strengthened at a high rate. The disadvantage was that he would be weak for an entire day after the training. Jun Changshao would not stop the two from tempering their bodies to the extreme. After all, disciples had the right to choose their own path of martial arts. The only thing he could do was to protect her on the road and not be bullied by others. Neither Wu Huang nor Wu Huang could do it. During this period, Jun Changshao distributed the mountain-splitting palm and seal shield to the disciples, giving them more skills to learn. Mountain-splitting palm was a domineering palm technique. Spirit energy gathered in the palm, and the explosive force could split mountains and rocks. The seal shield was a defensive cultivation technique. It was driven by spiritual energy and formed a defensive shield in front of the user. The levels of these two cultivation techniques were not high, and they were relatively simple to cultivate. However, in order to unleash their full potential, one had to have a high level of cultivation and comprehension. In the study room, Jun Changshao took out 10 bottles of high-grade aptitude modification liquid and said, "You guys did well in the trip to Death Valley. Take this medicinal liquid and consume it." Zhang Wei and the other 10 middle-grade disciples stepped forward and each took a bottle of aptitude modification liquid. After consuming it, the middle-grade spirit root would be upgraded to high-grade. During the training in Death Valley, Long Xiang and Li Yuhua's performance was not bad, but because they entered the sect late, Jun Changshao chose to give it to the older disciples first. There were many disciples and limited resources. They could only distribute it according to the time they entered the sect. What kind of medicinal liquid is this? After drinking it, one's realm and cultivation will actually increase. This is unbelievable. Could it be that the medicinal liquid given to us by the sect leader is the immortal dew wine? The 10 disciples were shocked. After their spirit roots were upgraded to high grade, if nothing unexpected happened, they would definitely become inner sect disciples in the future. Those whose cultivation was not high relied on the forging room and the spirit energy array to increase their cultivation. Those who were strong entered the experience tower to train. The disciples' cultivation was in full swing, and their iron bone was clearly becoming more and more standardized and professional. After the disciples' training was solved, Jun Changshao only had one problem in front of him, and that was martial resources. Martial resources were pills, weapons, and spirit stones. Pills and weapons could be refined by the pill refining pavilion and the forging pavilion, but spirit stones were more difficult. On the market, one spirit stone was equivalent to 10,000 taels. Even if sect leader Jun used all his wealth to exchange, he could only exchange for 1,000 or so. He could absorb them himself, but it was definitely not enough for hundreds of disciples. "I'm still poor." Jun Changshao sat in the study room and rubbed his temples. Without this damned system binding, it would be better for him to slowly develop in the other world. Complaining wouldn't solve any problems, so sect leader Jun had to think of a way to earn martial resources. Actually, with the experience tower, the disciples would definitely become stronger and lead the sect to become stronger. But he wanted to be fast. The time limit of the main mission was only 100 years. If he could reach it as soon as possible, he naturally couldn't be passive. "I can give more healing pills to the AI family to obtain more funds in a short time," Jun Changshao murmured. He didn't consider giving more body-shaping pills. This thing was much more heaven-defying than healing pills. If he sold it in large quantities, it would definitely attract attention. Besides, if he sold a lot of pills, wouldn't he be creating a strong opponent for himself if he encountered an enemy who had taken them before? Sect leader. At this moment, Li Qingyang walked in and said, "Family head AI requests an audience." Why was he here again? Jun Changshao said, "Please enter the main hall." Yes. When family head AI came last time, sect leader Jun brought his disciples to Death Valley to train, so he came again mainly to confirm whether he would participate in the auction. This, after knowing the purpose of his visit, sect leader June pondered for a moment and said, Family head I have too many things to do in the sect, so I won't be participating in tomorrow's auction. He was really not interested in this kind of auction. Sect leader June, family head AI said, there are many experts and major forces from various counties at this auction. You can go and broaden your horizons. Also. He paused for a moment and said, the fourth-rate palace master of Miaohua Palace is also here. Jun Changshao said in surprise, your auction this time even alarmed a fourth-rate sect? Family head AI smiled and said, Sect leader Jun, have you heard of the palace master of Miaohua Palace? No, Jun Changshao said. Family head AI said, this palace master of Miaohua Palace is the same as sect leader Jun. She led a sect at a young age and is known as a strange woman of the star-field continent. Oh. Jun Changshao said, the palace master of Miaohua Palace is a woman? That's right. Family head AI said, Miaohua Palace has always only accepted female disciples. It is one of the few female sects in the Starfall continent. How young is she? Jun Changshao asked. Family head AI said, the palace master of Miaohua Palace has just turned 20 years old. She is outstanding and is a great beauty. Ah. Jun Changshao said seriously, family head AI has invited me again and again. If I refuse, it will be a little unreasonable. He decided to go. It was not to see some great beauty, but to broaden his horizons. Chapter 216. Jun Changshao went to the auction mainly to broaden his horizons. After all, interacting with the big shots of the sect was better than working behind closed doors at home. As for the palace master of Miaohua Palace. I really want to see what kind of beauty she is, 1 in a million. Men. It was normal to like looking at beauties. If Jun Changshao righteously said that he didn't like looking at beauties, he would either be extremely hypocritical, or, there was a problem with his sexual orientation. Sect Master Jun, before the AI family head left, he handed over a few space rings and said, these are the medicinal herbs that I have recently collected. Thank you. After Jun Changshao accepted it, he cupped his fists and said, tomorrow, Jun will definitely attend the auction. He had the medicinal herbs and the space rings. Therefore, there was no need to specially buy these things. It was enough to lick the bag and be given by others. The AI family head gave him a lot of medicinal herbs, so Jun Changshao opened the alchemy pavilion and refined a lot. At the moment, there were plenty of healing pills and shaping pills, as well as many meridian opening pills and chi revolving pills. Although he had refined more than 1,000 chi gathering pills, he had to supply more than 500 disciples. It was a drop in the bucket. Sigh. Jun Changshao sighed, resources, I need you guys too much. That night, he began to arrange the affairs of the sect to Li Qingyang, then entered the experience tower to train for 4 hours. The next day, after breakfast, he set off for Huyang City. However, just as he walked down the mountain, Lu Qianqian, who was like a pure snow lotus, stood under a tree. Jun Changshao was puzzled. Why are you here? Lu Qianqian said, I heard from second junior brother that sect master is going to attend the auction. I want to go and watch the fun. You've been cultivating in the sect all day. It's time to go out and relax. Jun Changshao said, let's go, follow me to Huyang City. Thus, the two of them left Iron Bone Mountain. Ever since the sect was formalized, Sect Master Jun had changed this nameless mountain to Iron Bone Mountain. After all, many sects either built their sect after a mountain, or directly changed their name to something related to the sect. This was a trend. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Early in the morning, everything was silent. A faint light appeared on the eastern horizon, carefully soaking in the light blue sky. A new day was gradually approaching. The mountains were humid and often filled with a light mist. Jun Changshao and Lu Qianqian walked out of the morning fog one after another. They looked like an immortal couple descending to the mortal world. This was the second time the two of them had traveled together alone. The first time was when they went to Qingyang City to participate in the recruitment of the numerous sects. At that time, Jun Changshao had just transmigrated and was a complete newbie. On the other hand, Lu Qianqian's temperament was like that of a fairy. When the two of them walked together, there was a sense of incompatibility. Now that he was a rank 5 martial master, he had the aura of a sect master gathered around him. Walking alone with this woman, his aura had already surpassed hers. In fact, in the past few months, Lu Qianqian's attitude towards the sect leader had changed a lot. She rarely used words to choke him. Qianqian. Jun Changshao chatted casually. The last time we went to Qingyang City to participate in the recruitment of the numerous sects, there were only 2 of us in the sect. Now that it has developed to more than 500 people, it's incredible just thinking about it. Lu Qianqian said, a large-scale sect needs at least a few thousand disciples. The sect leader still has a long way to go. Although he said so, he had to admit it in his heart. During this period of time, the Iron Bones sect was really getting stronger day by day under his management. She once said that if he became the sect leader, he could make the sect dominate Qingyang County. Now it seemed that not only could he do it, but it would probably take even less time. As for dominating the falling star continent, Lu Qianqian could only use the word dream to describe it. Are you tired? Do you want to rest for a while? I'm not tired. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? I'm not hungry. Used to this woman's cold personality, Jun Changshao didn't take it to heart, but said, have you heard of Miaohua Palace? Lu Qianqian said, a newly risen 4th-rate sect, the palace master is called Shi Jingxian, known as the world's most extraordinary woman. Jun Changshao said in surprise, you even know the name of the palace master, you know quite a lot about the sect. Lu Qianqian said, these forces, the sect leader must also understand, such as which sects can't be offended, which sects have strong backing. I don't cause trouble, why would I want to know about the sect? Besides. Jun Changshao paused, and said, why don't they come to understand my iron bone? A sect, let the sect understand. If this was heard by outsiders, they would definitely scoff. Don't cause trouble. Lu Qianqian said, the Black Eagle Hall's deputy hall master and disciples were killed a while ago, the sect leader has caused trouble, if they find out that it was my iron bone who did it, they will definitely not let it go. They were killed in the wilderness, and their bodies were burned, how could they be discovered? Jun Changshao said confidently. No wonder this guy burned it with the exquisite fire, he had already planned to not leave any traces. Lu Qianqian said, don't underestimate a 7th-rate sect, and even more so an evil sect, because they have unknown methods, maybe they can find out. Besides, the people of Black Eagle Hall came to intercept us, they must have heard from the rogue cultivators at the entrance of the valley. As long as they find out, with the evil sect's usual ruthless way of doing things, no matter right or wrong, they will definitely come to us. This woman was a little too talkative, but also to remind the sect leader. Makes sense. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin, saying, this Black Eagle Hall, we must pay attention to it, lest we fall into their trap. Lu Qianqian said, disciple thinks, to avoid future trouble, the sect leader can lead us to destroy the evil sect first. Jun Changshao was taken aback, isn't that a little too cruel? Lu Qianqian's eyes were cold, it's easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to defend against an arrow in the dark. Rather than passively defending, it's better to take the initiative to attack, and eliminate any danger that appears in advance. Jun Changshao said, let's talk about this after the auction. He very much agreed with Lu Qianqian's suggestion. After all, Black Eagle Hall was an evil sect, their way of doing things was no different from the Drizzle building. Once they took the initiative, they would be very passive. Jun Changshao was not afraid of coming to cause trouble in the open, but he was afraid of playing tricks behind their backs. The Spirit Spring sect was a good example. If they did not decisively attack and destroy them in one fell swoop, who knows what kind of trouble they would cause in the future. It's just an evil sect. On the way to Huyang City, Jun Changshao said to himself, destroying them is not a problem. He took Lu Qianqian's suggestion, and decided to eliminate any possible danger in the cradle in advance. This method was very correct. Because the Black Eagle Hall in Huayin County had not seen the return of the Vice Hall leader and his disciples, they had already begun to investigate this matter. As long as they found out that the disciples went to intercept the Iron Bone, and then lost contact, they would definitely come to Qingyang County to cause trouble. The evil sects would not reason with you, nor would they give you evidence. If there was any doubt, they would rather kill 1,000 than let go of one. Of course. The investigation also needed time. Since Jun Changshao had decided to destroy Black Eagle Hall, he should be able to act before them. Chapter 217. Huyang City. Jun Changshao walked in with Lu Qianqian. Because today was the day of the auction, cultivators could be seen everywhere on the main street. Judging from their attire, at least half of them were not from Azure Sun County. The news of the AI clan's healing pill and body-shaping pill had already spread throughout the county. Even though many cultivators couldn't afford it, they still wanted to broaden their horizons when they heard that many sects would be coming. The more lively Huyang City was, the happier Jun Changshao was. Because this way, there would be more people appearing and he would be able to earn more money. Aya, isn't this sect head Jun? Just as he was about to head to the auction, a clan head of Huyang City greeted him with a smile. Someone even greeted him. However, he didn't know him, so how should he greet him back? Jun Changshao thought for a moment and cupped his hands. Happy National Day. According to the time, his country was about to celebrate its 69th birthday. Thus, he decided to use this method to greet him back. National Day. Happy? The patriarch was dumbfounded by these words. Who is National Day? A person? Or is he referring to me? That's not right. My name is Jian Jun, not National Day. Sect Head Jun, Happy National Day. Sect Head Jun, Happy National Day. As Sect Head Jun walked, as long as someone greeted him, he would immediately return the greeting with grace. Thus, after walking for an entire street, all the people who greeted him were dumbfounded. They looked at each other, secretly guessing who was National Day and why was he happy. Speaking of which, why would a reputable person in Huyang City be so friendly to Jun Changshao? One had to know that because he had offended Haoqi Sect and 100 Sect Alliance, everyone would avoid him if he entered any city other than Azure Sun City. This was because of the AI clan. The Haoqi Sect supported Iron Bone and was willing to lend him 10 million taels. Their relationship was definitely strong. Since the AI clan cared so much, he had to establish a good relationship with them. As for the Haoqi Sect and 100 Sect Alliance. Sorry, we are clans of Huyang City. We must stand on the AI clan's side. AI clan's auction venue. Jun Changshao brought Lu Qianqian along the way and stopped at the entrance. Sect Master Jun, AI Shanka, who was in charge of welcoming the guests, hurriedly said with a smile, "It's an honor to be able to participate in my AI family's auction." The major forces from the other counties all turned their heads. Was this little guy the Iron Bone sect leader who had previously defeated the Grand Qi sect? TSK. He looks very young. The world has changed. Even an 8th-rate sect can defeat a 6th-rate sect. When I first heard the news, I thought that it was just a rumor. It was only after I came to Azure Sun County that I realized that it was actually true. In my opinion, the Azure Sun County is too small. A 6th-rate sect like the Haoqi sect is probably inferior to a 7th-rate sect like ours. The upper echelons of the various forces discussed in low voices. An 8th-rate sect had defeated a 6th-rate sect. If it hadn't been proven over and over again, they would have found it hard to believe. I heard that Iron Bone is going to challenge the Sacred Spring Sect soon. The Sacred Spring Sect is a fifth-rate sect with a long history. The county it is in is also a place full of outstanding talents. Challenging them is tantamount to courting death. Taking over the position of sect leader at such a young age, you have the spirit of a newborn calf not fearing a tiger. This is worthy of praise. Jun Changxiao's arrival became a hot topic of discussion among all the forces. However, there was more of a hint of banter. Sect leader Jun Ai Shanka whispered, "The forces like to talk about this and that. Don't take it to heart." Jun Changxiao said, "I won't." Their mouths were on other people's bodies, so they could say whatever they wanted. If he took it to heart, he would have been angered to death during the recruitment. "Please." Ai Shanka cupped his hands. Jun Changxiao was about to enter the venue with Lu Qianqian. But just as he started, someone said, "Elder Ai, sect leader Jun went in without even showing his card. Isn't that against the rules?" The one who spoke was a high-ranking member of a force from another county. "That's right." Someone followed up and said, "We are all lining up to show our cards." Iron Bone sect leader went in empty-handed. "Isn't that treating us differently?" This, Ai Shanka was a little embarrassed. Because his relationship with Jun Changxiao was extraordinary, he didn't want him to show his VIP card at all. The cultivators from the other counties disagreed. They were lining up here to enter. How could an eighth-rate sect leader cut the line and enter? "Elder Ai, you have to give us an explanation. Although we are not locals of Azure Sun County, we are all customers who have applied for a card. Now that we are lining up obediently, how can we explain it to someone who doesn't follow the rules? Could it be that in the eyes of the AI family, we, a sixth-rate and seventh-rate sect, are inferior to an eighth-rate sect in your county?" The forces from the other counties were pressing. To put it simply, they were deliberately targeting Jun Changxiao or the AI family. To put it bluntly, they were targeting the entire Azure Sun County. Although there was no war between the counties, they were still from different camps. Coming to someone else's territory, they definitely had to show some strength. Not to mention, the overall strength of Azure Sun County was low, and it was not worth mentioning in front of the rich counties. Many forces and even cultivators from the large counties had a sense of superiority. Regional attacks were even more serious in the Falling Star continent. In fact, because of some small grudges, it was normal for it to evolve into a war between counties. Ai Shanka's expression became more and more ugly. Obviously, he didn't expect these people from the other counties to be so unreasonable. Sigh. Jun Changxiao sighed and retreated with Lu Qianqian, "Elder Ai, what are the rules for entering the auction?" "Brat." One of them said, "You have to take out a platinum card to pass through this path. Otherwise, you will have to line up behind us. Brother Han, we need a gold card to enter this path. Do you think an eighth-rate sect can take it out? You have to spend at least 5 million to obtain a gold card from the AI family. Not to mention an eighth-rate sect, even a seventh-rate sect might not have one. Ha, they are really poor." The forces from the other counties laughed. At the end of the line, the various forces from the Azure Sun County had an ugly expression on their faces. A moment ago, they were targeting the Iron Bone sect. Now, they were openly mocking the Azure Sun County. As long as the locals were a little bloodthirsty, they definitely wouldn't be able to take it. Jun Changxiao wanted to keep a low profile, so he quietly took out his card and walked in. But when he saw how arrogant these people were, he immediately lost his temper. "Elder Ai." He pointed at the path from the other counties and said, "Only a gold card is qualified to enter this path?" "Yeah." Ai Shanka replied. Jun Changxiao shrugged and said, "I was just wondering why there are so many trash in the line. So it's just a bunch of gold scum who don't even have a platinum card." The word scum was obviously an insult. The forces from the other counties were instantly enraged. But just when they were about to attack, their expressions froze. This was because Jun Changshao had summoned his platinum card. Under the refraction of the sun, the card flickered and swept across their faces. It was so dazzling that they hurriedly closed their eyes. How could he have a platinum card? The AI family's platinum card was usually only available to the big shots of 6th-rate sects and above. Those below the 6th-rate sects couldn't get one no matter how much money they spent. A bunch of gold scum. Slowly line up. Jun Changshao waved his platinum card and said proudly, I will be going in first. Oh, right. After taking 2 steps, he stopped and turned back with a smile. My 8th-rate sect is really stronger than your 6th-rate and 7th-rate sections. The forces from the other counties could only watch as he went in. Although their eyes were filled with anger, there was nothing they could do. After all, the other party had a platinum card while they had a gold card. Speaking of which, if a gold card was trash, then those with a bronze card would definitely feel inferior. However, when the forces from the Azure Sun County saw the expressions of the cultivators from the other counties as if they had eaten a fly, they immediately felt satisfied. Stop being so cocky and pretentious. Chapter 218. Sometimes, if you don't act cool, others will think you're a fool. Therefore, Jun Changshao could only take out his platinum card and swagger in front of a group of gold trash. To be honest, if it weren't for the fact that this group of outer county forces was too arrogant, sect leader Jun definitely wouldn't want to be so ostentatious. Sigh. There was no one else like him who was so reluctant to act tough. The various forces of Azure Sun County were very comfortable now. They had long disliked this group of outer county forces who thought they were better than others. Jun Changshao took out his platinum card in front of everyone and smacked them in the face. This was undoubtedly very satisfying. However, an 8th-rate sect could have the highest standard card in the auction house. This made the forces of Azure Sun County realize that the Iron Bone and the AI family were very close. Oh my god. Sect leader Jun actually has a platinum card. This is a symbol of status that can't be bought with money. The surrounding cultivators of the Azure Sun County were shocked and their gazes were filled with respect. Inside the auction house, there was a slightly long passage with many famous paintings and antiques hanging on both sides. It was very luxurious. Jun Changshao led Lu Qianqian all the way and stopped at the huge auction house. In the middle of the auction house was the auction stage and there were rows of seats around it. These were the seats for bronze card users. Gold card users were on the 2nd floor and had a private room with a high vantage point. Platinum card users were on the 3rd floor. Not only did they have a private room, but the decorations inside were also luxurious. It was a symbol of status and nobility. Sect leader Jun. As soon as Jun Changshao stopped, the AI family head hurried over and said apologetically, please forgive me for not going out to meet you. There were already cultivators sitting on the bronze seats and they all looked over in surprise. The AI family had recently released 2 types of pills and their status in the hearts of the various forces had risen. No one expected them to be so polite to an 8th-rate sect leader. On the 2nd floor, the upper echelons of the various sects were also looking at Jun Changshao, who was standing at the entrance. Some were deep in thought, some were disdainful, and some were smiling. Is he Jun Changshao? In a luxurious single room on the 3rd floor, a woman in the prime of her youth stood in front of the window. Her gaze locked onto Jun Changshao as she whispered softly. This woman was in her early 20s. Her long black hair cascaded down her shoulders, and her waterfall-like bangs covered the left half of her beautiful face. Her skin was as fair and smooth as a pearl. His exposed right eye was as clear as a stream, and his entire body was surrounded by a noble aura that made people stay away from him. Jun Changshao couldn't detect the gazes of people of the same sex, but he could sense the gazes of people of the opposite sex. So, he instinctively raised his head and looked into the other party's eyes. This woman, is very beautiful. He only took a glance before withdrawing his gaze. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, Master AI still has to host the auction, but you have to personally welcome me. I'm really embarrassed. Sect Master June is an honored guest of the AI family. No matter how busy you are, you should come out and welcome him personally. The AI family head's voice was very loud. It was obvious that he wanted all the martial artists present to hear him. As a result, the various forces were even more curious about what the Iron Bone sect leader was capable of to be valued so highly by the AI family. Sect Master June, please go to the 3rd floor. AI Shang made a gesture of invitation and led Jun Changshao to the staircase. The 3rd floor. Could it be that the Iron Bone sect leader had a platinum card? The various forces' expressions changed, and they were even more shocked. Sect Master June, when they went up the stairs, AI Shang lowered his voice and said, the person you saw just now is the palace master of Miaohua Palace, Shi Jingxian. Jun Changshao said, I guessed it. Although it was just a quick glance, he could feel the aura of someone who had been in a high position for a long time. So, he immediately determined that this must be the palace master of Miaohua Palace. She was able to look him in the eyes without batting an eyelid even though he was super handsome. The 3 words extraordinary woman were enough to live up to her name. The system couldn't stand it anymore and said, I've never seen such a shameless person. What do you think? AI Shang smiled and said, isn't she as beautiful as a fairy? Ah. Jun Changshao said, she's not bad. The corner of AI Shang's mouth twitched, but when he saw Lu Qianqian following behind them, he couldn't help but think, this girl's looks are not inferior to the palace master of Miaohua Palace. No wonder Sect Master June said not bad. 3rd floor, private room. Jun Changshao and Lu Qianqian walked in. The room was very spacious, and the decorations were extremely luxurious. Even the sofas and chairs were obviously made of high-quality wood and fur. One word, extravagant. Jun Changshao was a little shocked, but he remained expressionless. After all, he was the sect master. Even if he entered the inner court of the palace, he couldn't act like he hadn't seen the world. Sect Master June, AI family master smiled and said, this AI still has to welcome the guests, so I won't disturb you. If you have any orders, you can inform the servants outside. Jun Changshao looked around carefully, then came to the window and found that the palace master of Miaohua Palace was in the opposite wing. He. This was the opposite wing. Coincidentally, Shi Jingxian was also standing by the window, and her gaze fell on Jun Changshao. The 2 of them were looking at each other from top to bottom, but now they were looking at each other from left to right. With so many people watching, it was a little inappropriate to stare at a beauty. But now that Sect Master June was standing in the room, there was no need to worry. You look at me, I look at you. At most, we'll hurt each other. This woman had fair skin. Although half of her face was covered by her bangs, she was still a great beauty. As expected. A world full of spiritual energy was the best place to nurture such a natural beauty. It was really inappropriate for a man and a woman to stare at each other. But the thick-skinned Jun Changshao wouldn't back down. You look at me, I look at you. At times like this, the girl would usually be the first to admit defeat. After all, she was more or less a little shy. But Shi Jingxian wasn't ordinary. She was still looking at our sect master June, and her gaze didn't waver or dodge at all. How could a woman be so thick-skinned? She dared to look at me, the super handsome man, in the eye. Very good, very good. Today, I'll show you what the ultimate electric eye is. Jun Changshao turned around and gave her a side attack. He flipped his hair coquettishly, and a smile appeared on his face. Hiss, hiss. In an instant, electricity flew out. But the palace master of Miaohua Palace didn't react at all. She still looked at Jun Changshao without any emotion in her eyes. Damn it. Is my charm that bad? Sect Master Jun, who was extremely confident in his looks, couldn't move a beauty even after using all his electricity. This was definitely a huge blow to his self-esteem. I don't believe it. Jun Changshao straightened his body and put his hands behind his back. Sometimes he frowned, sometimes he was depressed, sometimes he was deep in thought, and sometimes he was smiling like a spring breeze. He actually knew how to pick up girls. If anyone says that Sect Master Jun is single because of his strength, I'll get angry with him. The two of them looked at each other for a long time. Because it was a little long, Sect Master Jun's eyes were dry. I can't lose. I have to make her shy. Just as Jun Changshao made up his mind to defend his dignity as a man, Lu Qianqian walked over and glanced at Shi Jingxian. She said regretfully, although the palace master of Miaohua Palace is capable, it's a pity that she was born with an eye disease. Gah! Sect Master Jun was instantly petrified. Chapter 219. Jun Changshao showed his manliest and most handsome side to the fullest. However, Shi Jingshuan's eyes didn't waver at all, which made him unconvinced and angry. Come on, come on. I'll fight you for 300 rounds today. Let's see who will look away first. Although sect leader Jun was usually very decisive in managing the sect, she was more like a child when she was willful. Just like that, they looked at each other. His eyes were dry. Jun Changshao didn't even blink. He had to defend the dignity of a man and let this woman understand what it meant to be shy. However, when Lu Qianqian walked over and said those words, he froze on the spot. After a long time, Jun Changshao said with a wonderful expression, Is this woman blind? Yes. Lu Qianqian said, she was born blind and abandoned by her parents in the wilderness. The former palace master of Miaohua Palace passed by and brought her back and raised her. So miserable. Looking at Shi Jingxian, Jun Changshao gradually realized that although her eyes were as clear as water, they were also empty and lifeless. Sure enough, she had an eye disease. No wonder she was called an extraordinary woman to be able to become the palace master of a fourth-rate sect even though she couldn't see the light. Lu Qianqian said, she probably came to the auction because she hoped that the healing pill could cure her eye disease. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, the healing pill is only used to heal injuries. How can it cure diseases? Sigh. How can I look at a girl with an eye disease? Jun Changshao retracted his gaze and strongly condemned his childish behavior just now. Sect leader Jun, Shi Jingxian, who was in front of the window, smiled and said, were you looking at me just now? Her smile was very bright, giving people a refreshing feeling like a spring breeze caressing their faces. What a pity. Such a beautiful girl has never seen the light or the great rivers and mountains between heaven and earth. Jun Changshao said, Jun has often heard people say that Palace Master Shi is an extraordinary woman of the falling star continent. Now that I've seen her today, it seems that the rumors are true. Shi Jingxian laughed and said, sect leader Jun's iron bone was able to defeat the Hao Qi men, that's what I admire. This was true admiration, not the mockery and ridicule of those outside the county. Jun Changshao was just about to say something polite. A woman walked in front of Shi Jingxian, glared at him, and said, Palace Lord, when we came, Grand Elder said not to talk to strangers, especially this kind of indecent man. An indecent man? What did he mean? Am I not serious? Jun Changshao wanted to argue with the woman, but she had already helped Shi Jingxian away from the window. Qianqian. Jun Changshao said angrily, I'm not serious. Lu Qianqian said, judging from sect leader's winking behavior just now, you are indeed not serious. Jun Changshao slumped on the chair powerlessly, howling in his heart, I'm just showing the most handsome side of a man. Sect leader. Lu Qianqian said, what do you think of this palace lord of Miaohua Palace? Jun Changshao said honestly, her voice is pleasant, and she looks very beautiful when she smiles. There was another meaning to his words. It was to tell his eldest disciple, when you can speak nicely, when you can smile. Lu Qianqian naturally couldn't tell. She still said coldly, you're only looking at the surface. As far as I know, this Shi Jingxian is a ruthless person. Oh. Jun Changshao said, how ruthless. There are rumors that after she took over as palace lord, she ordered her disciples to find her biological parents, Lu Qianqian said. That's human nature, Jun Changshao said. Lu Qianqian said, later, Shi Jingxian found her parents, and then killed them with her own hands. What? Jun Changshao's eyes widened. It was detestable to abandon one's own child. But as a son, there was definitely something wrong with one's mind if he killed his own father and mother. It was hard for sect leader Jun to imagine that such a beautiful and gentle woman would do such an extreme thing. A few years ago, a sixth-rate sect offended Miaohua Palace. Lu Qianqian said, 3 days later, all 5,000 members of the sect died in the training field. Even the livestock were not spared. Damn! Jun Changshao said in shock, that's too ruthless, isn't it? Sect leader Jun had also annihilated other sects, but every injustice had its perpetrator, and every debt had its debtor. He only killed the patriarch and elder of the Spirit Spring sect, and dismissed the remaining disciples. This kind of bloody and cruel annihilation was simply outrageous. Miaohua Palace is an evil sect. Righteous. That sixth-rate sect is an evil sect. Righteous. Since they're all righteous, why didn't anyone condemn them for annihilating a sixth-rate sect? Yes. Lu Qianqian said, the patriarch of the fourth-rate sect, the backer of the sixth-rate sect, went to Miaohua Palace to denounce them, but was severely injured by Shi Jingxian. The corner of Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. That woman looked harmless, but she was actually so two-faced and cruel. Suddenly, a scene appeared in front of Jun Changshao's eyes. In a pitch-black room, Shi Jingshuan's back was facing him. Then, she slowly turned around, raised her blood-stained saber, and grinned malevolently at him. Thinking of this, sect leader Jun shuddered, thinking to himself, she really is a ruthless character. In a side room of Miaohua Palace, Shi Jingxian had just sat down when she smiled and said, Iron Bone sect leader's voice sounds so young. Her exposed eyes were clear, but unfortunately, they were empty and lifeless. Palace Lord. The Miaohua Palace disciple named Li said, that guy looks like he's 18 years old. Shi Jingxian murmured, he must be an amazing man to be able to defeat a sixth-rate sect as an eighth-rate sect. Unfortunately, at this point, she lowered her head. She said rather dejectedly, I can't see what he looks like with my own eyes. Li's expression changed, and she hurriedly said, Palace Lord, this is an auction. Many factions are here. You mustn't think too much. Several Miaohua Palace disciples were also terrified, and they rushed forward to comfort their Palace Lord. After a while, Shi Jingxian raised her head, and the dejection on her face was covered by a smile. She said, I know. Phew. Seeing their Palace Lord's smiling face, the disciples heaved a sigh of relief, and their tense minds gradually relaxed. Jun Changshao. Shi Jingxian murmured, if my eye disease is cured one day, I'll definitely see what kind of man you are. Li said, Palace Lord, don't think about an eighth-rate sect. It might be destroyed by others one day. A female disciple said, I heard that Iron Bone and Sacred Spring sect have a 1-year agreement. If they lose, it'll be difficult for them to establish themselves in the Jianghu in the future. Huh? Shi Jingxian said in surprise, sect leader Jun is going to challenge a fifth-rate sect? Li said, don't you know your own strength? Why do you have to challenge Sacred Spring sect? This is a classic case of courting death. So, Patriarch, don't worry. After the auction, go and find out when Iron Bone will challenge Sacred Spring sect. If I'm free, I'll go and listen. Shi Jingxian said expectantly. The disciples were speechless. Why was their palace lord thinking about the unknown Iron Bone sect leader? Chapter 220. At the AI family's auction venue, the bronze area was already packed with people as various forces continued to pour in. They were all here to watch the show. The main bidders were in the private rooms on the second floor. Many forces were already rubbing their palms together after taking their seats. As for the third floor, which was the highest level, 2 fifth-rate sects came in one after another. When they found out that the fourth-rate Miaohua Palace was next to them, they immediately became low-key. In the eyes of the low-level sects, the fifth-rate sects were giants. In the eyes of the fifth-rate sects, the fourth-rate sects were also giants. They could not afford to offend them. Of course. Some of the sixth-rate sects also had platinum cards and were placed on the third floor. Because the people sitting in the rooms next to them might be the big shots of the fifth-rate sects, they were very careful, afraid that they would accidentally provoke them. However, when they saw Jun Changshao through the window, their eyes were filled with surprise. The elder of the sixth-rate Atlas sect was rather puzzled. Which sect's disciple is this? He looks very unfamiliar. Elder. A disciple whispered, "This is the sect leader of Iron Bone, Jun Changshao." What? The elder said angrily, "How can an eighth-rate sect be on the same level as us?" The Atlas sect was a sixth-rate sect in the outer county. They were stronger than the Haoqi sect, so they were very arrogant. Naturally, they could not tolerate Iron Bone sitting on the third floor with them. When the other sects in the outer county learned that an eighth-rate sect was on the third floor, they also felt humiliated. They looked at Jun Changshao with disdain. If this was their own territory, they would have flipped the table. High-level sects had the dignity of high-level sections. It would definitely be degrading to be with low-level sections. However, they could not do anything because sect leader Jun had a platinum card. TSK. Catching the disdain and indifference in the eyes of the elders, Jun Changshao said, "It seems that I'm sitting in a room that I shouldn't be sitting in." In their eyes, sect leader should be on the first floor, Lu Qianqian said. "Are you angry?" Jun Changshao said, come and hit me." When the various forces were in position, AI Shang appeared on the auction stage. The noisy venue instantly fell silent. The AI family head said in a clear voice, "Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend the auction held by my AI family. Next, those who came here were all here for the medicinal pills." No one was willing to listen to official words, so they went straight to the point. "Begin the medicinal pill auction." This sentence instantly ignited the atmosphere. Some of the various forces who were determined to obtain the pills stood up in their rooms. AI Shang waved his hand and placed a healing pill on the auction stage. "I won't explain the effects of this healing pill. The starting price is 300,000. 300,000? Jun Changshao, who was sitting in the room, asked in surprise, "The price is so high." The auction begins. As soon as AI Shang finished speaking, someone from the second floor shouted, 400,000, 500,000. Jun Changshao, who was watching the auction for the first time, felt the corners of his mouth twitch. It seemed like the 300,000 that the AI clan had set wasn't a problem at all. 1 million. At this moment, a clear voice came from the opposite room. Obviously, it was Shi Jingxian. Jun Changshao opened his eyes wide. Raising the price from 500,000 to 1 million, this woman was really ruthless. Thinking that she might need the healing pill to treat her eye disease, she would probably be willing to sell it even if it was 10 million. Thinking about it from another perspective, if he was blind and knew about the heaven-defying healing pill, he would definitely buy it at all costs. Girl. You are destined to be disappointed. Let's not talk about whether the healing pill can cure your eye disease. Just your realm alone is already limited. Jun Changshao didn't think that the palace lord's strength was only at the channel opening realm or the martial disciple realm. When Shi Jingxian called out the price of 1 million, the auction hall was silent. No one dared to follow suit. It wasn't that they didn't have the money, but they didn't dare to. They all knew that the voice came from the room of the Miaohua Palace. Wasn't she tired of living to compete with a fourth-rate sect? Jun Changshao touched his nose and said, "This is not good." Shi Jingxian would definitely be satisfied with the price of 1 million. However, if the fifth-rate sect called out the price first, no one would dare to follow suit. How could they make a lot of money? The AI clan had also thought about this problem. That was why they set the price at 300,000. Moreover, the rules stated that if the same martial artist or force wanted to bid for the second pill, they would have to pay double the price. The starting price was 300,000. If the first pill was sold for 400,000, the second pill would be sold for 800,000. Therefore, the major sects could only buy one pill at the lowest price. There were a total of 20 healing pills in the auction this time. Many forces who were determined to get their hands on them all wanted to buy just one. Seeing that no one wanted to follow suit, AI Shangyao shouted 3 times and announced that the first healing pill was sold to the Miaohua Palace at the price of 1 million. In fact, he knew that the Miaohua Palace would participate in the auction. It would be good if they could offer 400,000. He didn't expect them to be rich enough to raise the price by 1 million. Master AI. Shi Jingxian said, "Can you bring the pills up first?" "Yes, of course." AI Shangyao hurried up to the 3rd floor and placed the healing pill on the table. He seemed to understand the woman's intention and emphasized again, "Palace Lord Shi, the healing pill is only effective for channel opening realm and martial disciple realm cultivators." "I understand," Shi Jingxian said. AI Shangyao didn't want to disturb her any further and quickly left. Can this seemingly ordinary pill really heal injuries in an instant? Li questioned. Although Shi Jingxian was blind, she could feel the presence of the pill. She gently pinched the pill and murmured, "I hope a miracle happens." As she spoke, she gently opened her cherry lips and swallowed the pill. Unfortunately, even after the pill had taken effect in her body, her vision was still dark. Shi Jingshuan's expression was desolate. She lowered her head and said dejectedly, "It still doesn't work." Palace Lord Li hurriedly comforted her. Master AI said clearly that the pill is only effective for channel opening realm and martial disciple realm cultivators. It's reasonable that it can't heal your eyes. Yeah. A disciple agreed. Perhaps, Master AI will refine an even stronger pill. At that time, it will definitely be able to heal your eyes. Seeing their palace lord depressed again, the disciples of the Miaohua Palace became nervous again. That makes sense. Shi Jingxian raised her head and smiled brightly. Phew. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Jun Changshao, who was in the opposite room, murmured, "That woman should have already consumed the pill. She will definitely be disappointed if it doesn't work." "Does it have anything to do with the sect master?" Lu Qianqian suddenly asked. Ah. Jun Changshao was stunned. He said, "It doesn't seem to be related." Master AI returned to the auction stage and continued to host the auction. When the second pill was called out, the fifth-rate sect on the 3rd floor called out a bid of 400,000. The various forces that were about to open their mouths immediately stopped talking. They couldn't afford to offend a 4th-rate sect, nor could they afford to offend a 5th-rate sect. Master AI sighed inwardly when he saw that no one was bidding. He had already expected this result. So what if it was 400,000? After all, there was only one 4th-rate sect and 2 5th-rate sect. Hongyun sect, 400,000 going once. Hongyun sect, 400,000 going twice. Hongyun sect, 400,000. Just as Master AI raised his hammer, a voice rang out from the 3rd floor, 500,000. Gah! AI Shang's expression froze. Because the bidder was Sect Master Jun. Chapter 221. When Jun Changshao called out 500,000, Ai Shang's heart skipped a beat. What was sect leader Jun trying to do by bidding for a pill that he had refined himself? After all, he was a businessman. His brain worked quickly and immediately realized that Jun Changshao was trying to raise the price. That's right. Jun Changshao was raising the price. How could he let someone take away the pill that he had painstakingly refined for 400,000? The system complained, is it hard for the host to refine pills mechanically? Jun Changshao ignored the system and shifted his gaze to the Hongyun sect. He happened to meet the eyes of the elder who had called out the price, and a harmless smile appeared on his face. Despicable guy. Anger rose in the elder's heart. He had thought that he would definitely get the pill, but who would have thought that Iron Bone would suddenly appear just as the deal was about to be closed? This was not a matter of money, but a matter of the sect's honor. Where did a small 8th-rate sect get the guts to compete with a 5th-rate sect? Because of Jun Changxiao's sudden bid, all the martial artists in the Bronze District looked over with playful smiles. Iron Bone dared to compete with the Hongyun sect. He was really something. Kid. The elder said in a low voice, are you sure you want to compete with the Hongyun sect? This was obviously a warning to Iron Bone. Jun Changxiao shrugged and said, isn't the rule of the auction house to bid? Does Jun not have the right to bid? That was true. But why didn't he see who he was bidding with? Was there something wrong with Iron Bone's head? Why couldn't he figure out such a simple thing? That's right, that's right. If he was in his right mind, why would he set a 1-year deal with the Sacred Spring sect? Thinking of this, the martial artists' smiles became even wider. They were very happy to see how Iron Bone would court death. Humph, the Hongyun sect elder snorted and said, 600,000. 700,000, Jun Changxiao said. Hearing that he continued to bid, the elder's eyes burned with anger. There were so many forces present. He was deliberately going against the Hongyun sect. Sect leader Jun, the elder said with a sullen face, the younger generation will surpass us in time. AI. Jun Changxiao said, I won't hide it from senior. There are injured people in the sect, so we must get the medicinal pills. Hearing this, the elder almost vomited blood. Why didn't you bid when the ingenious Flower Palace called out the price just now? Now that it's my Fortune sect's turn, you're pressuring us step by step. Do you think that 5th-rate sects are easier to bully than 4th-rate sects? 800,000. The elder of the Hongyun sect shouted. 900,000, Jun Changxiao raised the price again. The elder of the Hongyun sect narrowed his eyes and said, it seems that sect leader Jun is very rich. It's all right. Jun Changxiao shrugged and said, I earned 10 million from the Haoqi sect. I don't mind spending $1 million or so. The corners of the mouths of the various sects twitched. They had heard that the Haoqi sect won 10 million from gambling. To be honest, it was a lot of money. However, acting as if he didn't care about money in front of a 5th-rate sect was truly arrogant. Damn it. An 8th-rate sect dares to flaunt their wealth in front of me. 5 million. The Fortune sect master said in a deep voice. A sect had to have the dignity of a sect. If they wanted to raise the price, they had to be bold. I'll give up, Jun Changxiao said. Gah. The elder of the Hongyun sect looked dazed. How could he not bid? How could he give up? By calling out 5 million, he had raised the price. If Iron Bone continued to bid, he would give up. The elder of the Hongyun sect was not stupid. He definitely couldn't afford to buy a healing pill at a high price. Since that lad thought that he was rich, he had to make him spend more money to buy it. At most, he would bid for the next one. It was a pity. Jun Changxiao was not stupid either. He had deliberately raised the price. His ideal number was 1 million. He didn't expect that the other party would give up when he raised it to 5 million. It was all a trap. Hongyun sect, Hongyun sect, Hongyun sect, 1. 5 million going thrice. Bam! The hammer struck the final bell. The elder of the Hongyun sect was tricked by Jun Changshao. He bought the second healing pill at 1.5 million. He was furious. Ai Shang glanced at him and said, "Sect leader Jun, aren't you afraid of offending a fifth-rate sect?" The auction continued. The starting price of the third healing pill was still 300,000. The Raindrop Pavilion, another fifth-rate sect that had been silent, called out 400,000. Without a doubt, no one dared to bid. At the same time, they all looked at the room where Iron Bone was, thinking, is this lad going to bid? 500,000, Jun Changshao said. Sure enough, this lad was challenging the fifth-rate sects again. 600,000, the young pavilion master of the Raindrop Pavilion said indifferently. Lad, first you bid with the Hongyun sect, and now you're bidding with the Raindrop Pavilion. Have you eaten the guts of a leopard? 700,000, Jun Changshao said. 800,000, 900,000, 1 million. The young pavilion master was in his early 20s. He was in the prime of his life. How could he tolerate the arrogance of a sixth-rate sect? Give up. After reaching the price of 1 million, Jun Changshao gave up decisively. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. At this moment, they realized that this lad was deliberately raising the price. The Hongyun sect and the Raindrop Pavilion naturally saw it too. The disciples in the room glared at him. Jun Changshao did not care. These were all forces from outside the county. It was hard to say if he would meet them after the auction. If he offended them, so be it. Not to mention, it was just bidding for elixirs. If they cared about such a small amount of money, they would be narrow-minded. The two fifth-rate sects naturally did not care about a few 100,000 taels. What they cared about was this lad's malicious bidding. However, when the price of the fourth healing elixir began, Jun Changshao spoke first, 400,000. He was using his actions to tell the martial artists present that he really wanted to bid and was not deliberately causing trouble. The opportunity was here. The young pavilion master of the Raindrop Pavilion immediately shouted, 500,000. Lad, you made me spend an extra 600,000 taels. How can I not pay a little to take it away? Young pavilion master. A disciple reminded, we just bought one. According to the auction house's rules, if you take it for 500,000, you have to pay 1 million taels of silver. The young pavilion master said, I just raised the price casually. If that lad follows, he will definitely give up. 600,000, 700,000. 800,000, 900,000. After shouting this price, the young pavilion master was ready to give up because the meaning was very simple. If I spend 1 million, you have to spend 100, give up. Gah! The young pavilion master was in a daze and then roared in his heart, how can he give up? Pa! The AI family head said, the Raindrop Pavilion bid 1 million for the fourth healing elixir. According to the rules, you have to pay 2 million. Everyone's mouth twitched violently. They all knew that the young pavilion master of the Raindrop Pavilion deliberately raised the price and was tragically tricked. TSK Jun Changshao sat in the room, crossed his legs, and said indifferently, you want to fight with me? You are still too inexperienced. Despicable guy. The young pavilion master of the Raindrop Pavilion was so angry that he clenched the armrest. The auction continued. In order to show that he was really bidding, after the AI family head shouted the price, Jun Changshao immediately said, 400,000. 50 W. The young pavilion master raised the price again. He had to trick that guy once. Otherwise, how could he live up to his identity as the young pavilion master of a fifth-rate sect? Give up. Gah! The young pavilion master was in a daze. This guy gave up way too quickly. Chapter 222. Dong! The gavel closed. Patriarch AI said loudly. The Raindrop Pavilion bid 500,000 for the 5th healing pill. According to the rules, you have to pay 1 million. The young pavilion master was trembling with anger. Although the healing pill's effect was strong, it was only limited to Meridian Opening and Martial Disciple. It was too much for him to buy 3 at once. Moreover, because of that guy, he had to spend 4 million. Jun Changshao laughed and said, the child of a rich guy, he's really generous with his money. Lu Qianqian, as the sect leader, I'm really good at cheating people. Next, Patriarch AI continued to auction the healing pills. Jun Changshao bid 400,000 as usual. The young pavilion master, who had been cheated 3 times, did not dare to continue. If he did not play, others did not dare to play either. They were afraid that they would be cheated by this guy. Dong! The AI family's patriarch announced that Jun Changshao had bought the healing pill for 400,000 yuan. The money would definitely not be paid. The AI family would also keep it for the next auction. Therefore, both parties did not suffer any losses. The 7th healing pill was auctioned. Jun Changshao stopped bidding. The 6th and 7th rate sects began to fight. The final price was set at 800,000. It was a normal price. The remaining 13 pills were bought by various forces for a total of more than 10 million. On average, the price was around 800,000. It was a new high. This was just the appetizer. The next 5 body-shaping pills were the most important. 2 fifth-rate sects had traveled thousands of miles just for this kind of pill. Everyone. After a short break, Patriarch AI took out the pills and said, this is the body-shaping pill that can strengthen the body. The starting price for the first pill is 2 million. Many martial artists in the Bronze District twitched their mouths. As expected. The price was higher than the previous auction. 2,100,000. The Fortune Sect's elder was the first to bid. 2,200,000, the young pavilion master of the Raindrop Pavilion followed. The 2 sects had reached a tacit agreement and did not bid for the healing pills. However, they would fight for the body-shaping pills. After all, there were only 5 of them, 2,300,000, 2,400,000. Watching them fight, Jun Changshao was amused. In the end, after a round of competition, the first molding pill was won by the pavilion master of the Raindrop Pavilion at a price of 5 million. 6th and 7th rate sects also participated in the auction, but they withdrew after the price reached 4 million. The big sects were just rich. They couldn't compare to them. The second body sculpting pill was also a fierce battle between 2 fifth-rate sections. In the end, it was won by the Fortune Sect for 5 million. Initially, he thought that the 2 sects would stop fighting. Who would have thought that the pills would continue to fight? The 6th and 7th rate sects could only sigh as they watched the price rise. In the end, the 5 body sculpting pills were divided between the Fortune Sect and Raindrop Pavilion. The former bought 2 for 11 million, while the latter bought 3 for 16 million. Tsk tisk. Jun Changshao said, the sects from other counties are indeed rich. AI Shang was unable to contain his joy. In this auction, he had expected the total price to be around 30 million, but in the end, he had sold it for nearly 40 million. Everyone. The AI family's patriarch cupped his hands and said, this auction has come to an end, please come again next time. Gone, gone. The martial artists of the Bronze District began to leave in an orderly manner. On the way, they were all talking about the auction. As expected of a 5th-rate sect. They didn't think about money at all. It's a pity that the 4th-rate Miaohua Palace didn't participate. Otherwise, the 3 parties would have fought fiercely. In my opinion, the Palace Lord of Miaohua Palace came this time only for the healing pill. I wonder if it can cure her eye disease. The AI family's patriarch repeatedly emphasized that the pill is only effective for meridian opening martial disciples. Palace Lord Shi's cultivation base is at least Wuzong. It shouldn't be effective. Let's go. Jun Changshao left the room and happened to bump into the Raindrop Pavilion's young pavilion master who was walking behind him. Sect Master Jun, the young pavilion master said coldly, "You're quite bold." Jun Changshao said, "Since it's an auction, it's only interesting if we bid together." With that, he left with Lu Qianqian. Despicable guy. Although the young pavilion master was very angry, he didn't have any other thoughts. For example, he wanted to cause trouble. It was just an auction. It would be beneath his status to cause trouble out of anger. Jun Changshao came to the staircase. Just as he was about to go down, he saw Shi Jingxian walking over with the help of a disciple. The woman's eyes were still empty. She shook her head and walked down with Lu Qianqian. Sect Master Jun, Ai Shunka stood at the staircase on the first floor and said, "Please follow me to the VIP area." Jun Changshao knew that the Ai family wanted to split the money with him. If it was 40 million, he would get 16 million taels. As expected. After sending all the major sects away, Ai Shunka entered the VIP area and directly gave 20 million taels. Ai family's patriarch. Jun Changshao said in surprise, "Isn't it 40, 60? You gave a bit too much." Ai Shunka smiled and said, round it up, round it up." The Ai family only did publicity and made more than 10 million taels. They definitely wouldn't be greedy and take 60%. Jun won't be polite. Jun Changshao accepted the money and took out 50 healing pills and 10 body-shaping pills, saying, "Jun is very satisfied with the cooperation with the Ai family. Please help me sell these pills." Ai Shunka was overjoyed. Sect Master Jun gave more and more pills each time, which meant that he trusted him and the Ai family more and more. Ai family head. Jun Changshao said, "Does your Ai family accept crystal cores?" After training in Death Valley, he obtained a lot of crystal cores. He kept the high-quality ones for his own use and planned to sell the low-quality ones. Ai Shunka said, "Although my Ai family is involved in crystal cores, it can't compare to professional crystal core shops. The Ai clan specialized in medicinal pills and herbs, but their other businesses were more ordinary." Jun Changshao said, "I have some crystal cores here. If Ai family head likes them, we can make another deal." Ai Shunka smiled and said, "No problem." In order to win over this god of fortune, even if he had to sell it, he would definitely buy it. Schwa. Jun Changshao waved his hand and crystal cores of different colors were neatly arranged on the table. Ai family head. He said, "There aren't many, only 500 or so. You can name the price." Ai family head's eyes widened. 500 or so crystal cores are not many. How much is considered many? Ai family head picked up a red crystal core and said in surprise, "Sect Master Jun, this is a red flame wolf's crystal core." "Yes." Jun Changshao said. Ai Shunka said solemnly, "Red flame wolves only exist in Death Valley." "Did Sect Master Jun go in?" "Yes." Jun Changshao said, "Not long ago, I brought my disciples in for training." Ai Shunka was shocked. No wonder he wasn't in the sect the last time. He brought his disciples to Death Valley to train. "Wait." Ai Shunka said in surprise, "Sect Master Jun, you got all these crystal cores in Death Valley?" "Yes." Jun Changshao said. Ai Shunka didn't say anything. His heart was in turmoil. Not every beast had a crystal core. Sect Master Jun took out 500 of them. How many did he kill in there? Not many. He killed almost all of them. Ai Shunka checked the level of the crystal cores one by one. When he finished checking all 500 of them, the shock in his heart became stronger. The crystal cores in there were not only comparable to those of peak martial masters, but also many types of ferocious beasts. Without enough people and strength, it was impossible to exterminate such a group of ferocious beasts. Even if Qin Haoren went in with the sect's elites, it would be impossible. Sect Master Jun's iron bone was really amazing. Sect Master Jun, after thinking for a while, AI family head said, "My AI family is willing to buy these crystal cores for 10 million. There were many low-grade crystal cores. For example, the Earth Flame Wolf's crystal core was worth at most 1,000 taels. However, there were also many mid-grade ones. If Sect Master Jun took out the high-grade crystal cores, AI family head would probably use all the money he just earned to buy them." Okay. The two went through the procedure and signed. When Jun Changshao put the 10 million taels of silver into his spatial ring, a beautiful system notification sounded in his ears. Ding! Congratulations to host for completing the hidden mission, Gold and Jade Pile. You have gained 200 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 2851000. Ding! Congratulations to host for completing the hidden mission, Gold and Jade Pile. You have triggered the hidden reward. The storage of the spatial ring has increased by 5 times. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.